Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 430. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined alongside Johnny V.
Yeah, I am sitting here in my basement in my house.
Well, you're missing out because I believe out in the western part of the United States, I think a congratulations is in order. Kona and Colton, I believe, tied the knot a matter of just hours ago, actually.
Yeah, correct.
So congratulations to...
How did they not invite us?
The Montgomerys. Are you kidding? They make much better decisions in their lives than to have a couple of yahoos like us involved out there.
We could have live streamed it. We could have commentated it. We could have done a lot of things.
Yeah, we could also ruined it. So
you're not wrong. Listen, we've been married for a long time. We're not ruining marriages.
A good decision on their part and a good decision for one another. We wish them nothing but eternal bliss and happiness and nothing but birdies and pars and eagles, whatever else good comes with that. So again, congrats to the Montgomerys, I think, and we don't have them, although they should definitely be calling in. I think that'd be appropriate on their wedding night. But my first and only quick question before we get to our guest is, does she remain Kona Panis?
She might take a Valerie Doss Jenkins approach to it, where she's still Kona Panis on
outwardly facing to the disc golf community,
to her public community, but privately
legally
changes her name to Kona Montgomery.
Okay, well, I mean, those are the pressing questions. That's what our podcast is all about. You know, we are heavy and hard hitters here, and one guy that always wants us to bring the pain, six-time world champ Paul McBeth. Oh,
hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah. How are you doing? Where are you vacationing? Are you on a honeymoon of your own, or you with Elon in a SpaceX? What are you doing?
Oh yeah, you would think so. You know. Well, no, I'm just hanging out in the beautiful state of Virginia right now, as you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, that looks just like the Virginia I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't
The
Virginia,
mountains,
my second guess
coastline.
would have been Florida. So yeah,
It's probably the two combined.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about that. First of all, welcome to the show. I know it's been a little bit. We've speculated on a few of your recent moves and what you've been doing over the last few weeks. You've been playing, and we'll talk about that. But what does this off season here? It has to feel like it's kind of now getting started in terms of you really scaling back on your playing to just a few events. What are you doing in Virginia? Didn't you just move from there?
Yeah, I did just move from here. So just here visiting Hannah's family, my family as well. My brother lives here. So we're doing Thanksgiving up here. We got up late last night. So just enjoying family time for the holidays, and then we'll head back down to Florida on Friday, make that drive back, and then just enjoying the off season. Like it's an active off season, as you've seen. I'm playing a couple tournaments in Florida. It's hard not to when the weather's so beautiful, and they're fun places to go. So just enjoying that, competing and playing tournaments that I feel like are really fun. So it's been enjoyable. The move's gone well so far.
Well, so of course we don't need your address, and we're not trying to dox you here, but where exactly did you move? Just because I know you had a few different options in mind. Again, I don't need your street address or anything, but where did you move to?
Well, clearly to the beach, as you can tell in the background.
It's his backyard.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're Jacksonville Beach, Ponte Verde area, or Ponte Vedra. Sorry, Vedra. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. But we're right there in that area, and just been enjoying it.
Yeah,
we obviously had the tropical storm, which was a cool experience. So
yeah, some probably not as much as others, but seemingly everything was all right for you guys, and no major issues or concerns right off the bat in terms of the storm rolling through.
Yeah, just flooded some of the streets and stuff, and it was mainly wind. There wasn't actually, surprisingly, a whole lot of rain. It just kind of blew through, but pretty windy, and that was a little scary in the sense of like you don't know what's going to fall from the trees. That was really the only concern that we had where we were at. But also we had the storm surge, which brought up some water up to our driveway. So not into our house, but the streets were flooded, and yeah, it was an experience, and it was nice to knock that out so quick and just know what it's like.
Yeah, and hopefully, God willing, everything, you guys don't have any major catastrophes or anything else to deal with for quite some time, although it seems like they're obviously just going to be inevitable, and there's going to be more that roll through at some point or another. Maybe you kind of just answered this, but touch on Florida and why there, because we've seen you move around to a number of different places throughout the last few years, whether it's on season, off season, whatever the case might be, but why Florida? And why that part of Florida maybe the more hopefully insightful follow-up. Why that part of Florida?
Yeah, so I hit the monitor here. Lived in I spent a couple winters in Florida about 10 years ago, and I feel like that's where I gained my most in that time of my career. For my pro career is where I felt like I played the most, interacted the most with the locals there and leagues and such, and just it seemed like a very active area. Like I grew up in Southern California, but there weren't many tournaments going on. Everything was spread out there. In the winter especially, there was nothing really going on. To where Florida, it feels like their season is just kicking off pretty much. So it's somewhere to go. Like they have 4 A tiers, and I could have gotten into all 4, but pulled my name off the wait list on one of them. So I'll be playing 3 A tiers. But it's just fun to go and compete and see some of these areas I've been and see how they've grown, and then also go to some new areas that I haven't explored yet. Like the South Florida Open, it's at a course where I haven't played yet, but I have played the South Florida Open before. So it kind of moves around in that area down there in like the Fort Lauderdale, Miami, so all over in that area. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like I learned so much, and I can not only like work on myself in the sense of like working out, just the athletic side and getting myself in shape, but I can also develop and work on skills by going out and being at the course, playing in some of these tournaments, and just kind of creating a routine to where I'm extremely active out here. And I like that. So I think that helps a lot because I feel like I just like being athletic and making sure I'm carrying that into the season. And if people are like, hey, let's go play this game or let's go play this sport outside of disc golf, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Like I'm in shape and I'm good to go, and let's go do it.
So 2 thoughts to that. One, some people may say you and there's no one that's a better judge of your own and your body, your physique, your physical capabilities than yourself. But some would say, with how rough the grind is, how tough it is out there week in and week out mentally and physically, like you need some recovery. Do you feel, are you at all worried that now in this place and in this position, it's too tempting not to recover for all the reasons you just said? It's so easy to go out and be active,
or more burnout quicker in the season.
Yeah. So to finish answering that last question too, you said why that area where we moved to.
Yeah.
Hannah has a lot of friends that live here.
Okay.
We've come down here and we spent last winter about a week, maybe 2 weeks here, and we just really like the area. It has everything that we're looking for. It's got a disc golf course not too far away and all that stuff. So and it's still connected to the other 47 states. I feel like, if we were to go Tampa or a little bit further south, I feel like you're getting a little too far to get out of Florida, to where we're 45 minutes from Georgia border, if not less. But I think when you're following a tour like the Disc Golf Pro Tour, it's kind of laid out there for you. You don't get any options. You don't get any choices. So I feel like that's where I run into burnout more than what's going on now. Right now I'm playing for fun. Like I'm playing because I want to play, to where you don't really get that choice when you're playing the Pro Tour. They're just laid out and you kind of got to go there. So I think this is actually freeing me up and making me enjoy disc golf more, and hopefully carrying that into the season to where I can find a routine where it's enjoyable, to where I don't have to focus on the courses so much as I can do other things, but still know how to maintain my disc golf and work and progress throughout the season as well, and continue to learn. But also these tournaments, I'm not going Monday and getting ready for them. I'm kind of showing up the day before, and then practicing the course, and then playing it the next day. So there are some things that I could get better at, like the tournament over the weekend. I practiced on Wednesday, then I had to leave Thursday, and then I came back and played the tournament Friday. And I would say out of the 36 holes, there was probably 12 to 14 that I completely didn't remember and just screwed them up. So that's where I think the multiple days comes into, and just being more familiar with some of the courses on tour. So there's the plus and minus, but also it allows me to trust my instincts and do what I feel like is right in that moment, because I don't recall what the shots were.
Yeah, I mean, and it was really I would have to think you felt a little embarrassed, the fact that you only opened with a 1070 rated round, then you dipped. You still had the hottest round 2 with a 1051 rated round, and then round 3 it wasn't the hottest round, but it was only 1031. So you averaged like 1052 golf or 1050 golf for the weekend. That feels like you're slipping.
That's what the offseason.
Well, it's fun. Yeah, it's funny because the first round I actually threw to some wrong baskets during that par stretch.
Don't tell me they hit off the basket or the tree and still went the right way for you.
They were par 4, so I kind of like just threw that, like thinking I had to like make an L shape to where it was kind of more it wasn't really turning, but it's such an open course, the first course we played, that you can see multiple baskets on some of them. So which I talked to his Haasfeld design course. So I told him after, I was like, I'm just used to when I'm on the tour, everything's roped off. So you kind of know which direction you're going, or you might not be able to see them. But on the open courses like that, you kind of see that, to where I was trying to remember from Wednesday when I practiced it. Now it's Friday, that I just mix certain shots up. So that kind of caused some pars that first round. And I was playing well the first round. And then the second round, I completely didn't remember about 7 of the holes that we played. And then the final round, it's funny. It was my worst round, but I recognized the course the most. But we just had some pretty poor weather. It was like 60 degrees and raining, which 60 degrees is pretty warm for a lot of areas. But when it was about 85 2 days before, and then it's raining and cold. So. And I kind of had a lead, so I just didn't want to lose it. I just wanted to make them try to win it in that rain. And Fish started out like he was going to take it. But I was able to hold off and kind of just par, birdie, par. So kind of just didn't give him too much of a chance down there at the end.
Yeah, and I also noticed earlier today you took home $1,386. There was a field of 54 open, so this is, I'll say, a standard A-tier event and then some. But I made the joke earlier a few weeks ago when we saw you and heard you playing in a few of these A tiers. You know, you talk about the routine and staying, sharp and focused and learning your routine and all that stuff. And I thought that maybe you were trying to go after the money record, because in theory, if the payouts were big enough, there was an opportunity for you to, possibly surpass Kristen and or Ricky, who are roughly $5,000 or $8,000 ahead of you.
Yeah,
did that ever cross your mind?
Well, before Pro Tour, I knew like whoever won this, like if I won it, I was gonna be so far ahead. Gannon and then Rick were the 3 that whoever won it could really jump out in front, because I think I had Ricky at the time by like $14,000 or $16,000 or something. And then he won that and kind of flip-flop. But no, after the Pro Tour, it's kind of near impossible to catch someone who just makes $35,000 at a tournament. But it's a money record. It's going to get broken next year or the year after. Like it's not a record that's going to stick really ever. It's just money's just going to keep climbing. So not one that I really see lasting too long, no matter who has it and what year it is.
I mean, and nothing for nothing, and clearly not to take away from any part of her skill set. And in fact, it's just a compliment. But Kristen Tatar holding it until then later, 100%. You or Rick or Gannon won.
Yep.
Kristen resetting.
She was the first ever.
Overall. Yeah.
She was the first ever to hit 100,000 in earnings. So like I knew even if Kristen won it, I would not be, if I won the finals, I would not be the first ever to clear $100,000. So
yeah, just
that would have been the cool. I think that would have been the only cool thing, in my opinion, would be the first. But yeah, she took that.
Well,
and doubly amazing that it was an FPO player of that we have.
Yeah.
expanded our fields and have moved so quickly in the last 3 years that
and she didn't play.
Yeah, and she missed
the European Open,
2 majors.
Yeah,
she missed two majors, which she probably could have cleared another 7-8 grand.
She probably could have put it like 125.
Yeah,
probably close to there.
Yeah,
I mean the 2 majors
amazing.
and then 2 or 3 Elite Series. I think she missed.
Yeah. So incredible effort that she had. So nonetheless, nothing to stick your nose up at in the fact that you're looking at Johnny. What does that bring you to? Just like 98,000, I think,
probably somewhere around there. Yep.
Somewhere on there for the year, which is right now it shows you at 98,952. We're seeing yourself and Ricky and a few other players get really philanthropic, if I think that's the right way to use it.
Well, I'm talking about money. I'm just looking. This broke your career earnings over $700,000 as well. Like that's another another bar, so to speak. Is that the highest career earnings of any? I have to assume it is.
Yeah, because I think I broke that 2 years ago or something, which is Klima. He was like 5 something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, now at the highest, which is funny when we look at that compared to what we know your guaranteed contract is. But anyway, 100,000. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think Gannon's on pace to break it in like 6 years.
I mean, as you said, with the money records, it took you this long to get to 700,000.
It's taken Gannon 2 years.
Yeah, a good year will net somebody $100,000 now, probably.
Yeah.
So Gannon could break this in 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
Or get to this
it's
point,
No, I agree. The money parts. It's hard to have like a real record. Like I said, I think the real cool thing would have been 100,000 be the first, and then the next one's who's going to be the first to have 1 million career earnings, and then 10 million and etc. So
you clearly it's just where the money is at now. We're talking about whether it's Kristen or Rick with these $35,000 checks. That was literally a good year for many years within disc golf. I mean, we're talking just
for sure.
10 or 12 years ago. That was a good year, and now they're.
It's still a good year. Like it's still a decent year.
You're right. It's still not a bad year.
I think 35,000 is probably still in the top 15 earners. If you pulled that up.
Yeah,
for sure. So with that, you just said it a minute ago. You said you're playing for fun. What do you care about? Is there anything that you care about outside of the biggest titles now? Like any bars or records, or you just care about major titles, don't you?
Well, I mean, I care. Majors, I think, are the number one. That's the one that everyone looks at careers in any sports. The Super Bowl, the World Series, all those things. Disc golf, it's the majors. I think the Elite Series are great, and that's something that was a record I shot for my whole career going up, and that was I think I forget whose record that was that I broke, but I think it was Felberg who had the most Elite Series wins. But it was it's interesting because I feel like before the national tour became a thing, it was super tours. The national tour became a thing, and then Disc Golf Pro Tour came around, and then it was Disc Golf Pro Tours or Elite Series. But for some reason, whenever they do statistics, they leave out national tours. They kind of just talk about pro tours and who has the most pro tour wins, but they don't count the ones before. So it's like, I'm curious if that dynamic's going to carry forward to where they just want to kind of pick and choose who has the most wins in this division, or not division, but this tour or whatever.
Well, I feel like all the records now that, at least from a back end production standpoint, from when Mo essentially hands us stats that are probably coming from Statmando, the phrasing now is ES as an Elite Series /
Elite
Majors.
Series.
And Elite Series should include all of the Pro Tours since 2016, and then all the national tours as well. That's when they say Elite Series, that's including, that era and those events. So are you saying
sometimes
like
they'll
that?
just talk about, I like when they're all like all the ones that are on the same stage, like national tours, Disc Golf Pro Tours, like those are the same tournaments. They're the same kind of talent and field would show up to the national tours as would the Pro Tour now. but there's just way more pro tours than there was ever national tours. I think the most we ever had was like 10 maybe, but more likely it was like 8, to now we're up to 20 pro tours a year, I think, or pro tours and majors. So yeah, no, I think there's a lot more opportunities for people to get big wins on the tour now, which is really cool. But yeah, we were just talking about money, and I think there's going to be a lot of milestones now over records, career milestones and things like that is how I look at these. But no, I definitely look at majors as number one. Elite Series events are up there as well, but I look at the majors more than Elite Series, and then everything else kind of just falls in third.
Do you find it difficult for yourself to get excited for an Elite Series event? Because it really feels like you do put every ounce of focus into a major. You always show up for the majors. And sometimes it feels like the Elite Series, you show up the day before, 2 days before, you get a practice round in, and it's part of the nature of the tour, but you don't always look like you have all your focus at every Elite Series
or your
event.
first round play takes the day off, and then you show up and charge in round 2 and 3.
No, I was going to say, usually you play pretty well first round. It's that second round, and then you come back and charge your third round.
Yeah.
I think one thing that started to happen is we've been playing these same courses so many times that I just kind of don't focus on them, to where I just play them, and that kind of gets me in trouble, to where I need to focus on them, one, but I need to find a way where I find it enjoyable to play them, and like put pressure on myself to play them instead of just throwing the shots that I've thrown for the last couple of years. And that's kind of something I started to realize towards the end of this year. And I think COVID, when we had the pandemic and stuff, it took a lot of the competitive side away from me, and just threw a lot of things up in the air, to where it's like, what's next? And I think that kind of really took a toll on my competitive edge. Because when we came back, it was just kind of, all right, Europe's not happening. Worlds, who knows? It got canceled 1 year. So it was kind of a lot of unsure things going on, to where now it's like everything feels like it's back. This year it felt like it was more back, but European Open was still up in question. So this year, I think towards the end of the year, especially after European Open, it was like, all right, like I need to figure out a routine. I need to figure out this that's going to make me want to focus and show up to all these events, because there's 20 to 25 events that the top players are playing. And it is easy to kind of just play the tournament and not compete and be there fully. So I want to find a way where I'm enjoying each trip that I'm going on. And that's kind of why I want to be more athletic, to where I'm doing more stuff off the course that I can be competitive in as well. And not just be like, all right, I'm just here for disc golf and that's it. Because it kind of just becomes and feels like it's a job more than like, this is my passion. I'm doing it because I love it. And then secondly, I'm getting paid for it. So that's kind of what I need to shift towards.
Is this your low key way of saying you're transitioning out of disc golf and you're taking pickleball that much more seriously? I mean, you guys are playing it what appears to be every single night. And I know that happens a lot on tour, but as I'm seeing all the Instagram stories these days, it seems like every night pickleball is happening down there as well. And I thought I just saw Jonathan Gomez, right? He just won a pickleball tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just his buddies. It seemed like he just beat his buddies. That's what it looked like.
I think it was like age 35 and up. And then I forget how they rank it, like 3.5 or something to 4.
I did hear, yeah. I've heard it's like, yeah, like that's how the ratings is.
And you had to have so many hours behind a camera to be eligible, and there's it's a really exclusive division. No, regardless, my question remains, awesome. Is pickleball next?
Who knows? No. I mean, I enjoy playing it, and I feel like it's like the statewide sport of Florida. It's like mandatory that you play down there.
Yep.
So during the tournaments and the night, like after the rounds and at dark or whatever, we would just go and play each night after the tournament rounds. And it was just something to do. You know, you don't need we didn't need the sun. We just needed lights, to where disc golf, like you need the sun really to play and enjoy it and get better. To where we just played under the lights. And there was a solid probably 8 to 12 of us each night playing. And it's actually competitive between the men and women, so it was a lot of fun, to where the gap's not huge there between all of us. So yeah, we just, and you got a partner and you got a team, so you can kind of make it fair in some way. You put the the 1 and 10 together, and they could play like the 5 and 6 or whatever, or 4 and 5. So
okay, this is a 2-part question then.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the best pickleballer in the group that you've been playing in the last few weeks? Who's the best among that group?
Sullivan Tipton for sure.
Okay.
And the ones that we've been playing in Florida. But I've been trash talking Melton.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and then that leads to my follow-up,
and I
which
can
is
take down Melton and whoever pretty easily.
Yeah, who's the best overall that like plays disc golf that you've seen and played against or interacted with? Who is Melton?
There's a
Melton?
a lot of talk.
No, it's probably Sully. From all the ones that I played with, yeah, Sully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he play in the tournament with Madison when she talked about playing in one? Do you know? Is that possible? Sully. I know Madison Walker talked about playing in a tournament like a year ago, and she said she had a pretty solid partner, and I don't remember if it was him or not, but maybe not.
I'm not sure. I didn't ask too many questions, but yeah, him and we teamed up together and we've played against each other, and he's really good. But yeah, best person I've played pickleball with so far for sure. And we've teamed up before, and we played here in Jacksonville. He came through, and we played some really good people. Him and I, we've been beat twice. So
okay. So the internet's asking who's the worst.
Who's the worst I've played with?
Who needs the most help?
Name. Oh shoot, Bradley Williams is the worst I've seen play.
What?
But that's because I was with him for his first time.
Okay.
So
I mean, because he's a damn he's such a skilled human. That surprises me.
If I'm being fair, I have maybe only seen 20 people play, but some were so new. Like Mason Ford was new, and he wasn't that good.
I can see Bradley taking a while on that backhand. He's really slow, very methodical.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't played with a whole lot of people, but those are just 2 people that I saw their first 1 to 10 times playing. So they were. I mean, I can say the worst. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're the worst that I've played with for sure, because it was really early in them learning pickleball.
Okay. How much athleticism because clearly this is played and spans so many ages, and I somewhat liken it to a racquetball where you don't have to be the most athletic, but if your strategy and your shot shaping is better, then the raw athleticism is almost secondary. Is that a fair way to word it? How would you describe it to somebody?
I think you can really compete if you're athletic, because you can get to the ball and get around. So it's like a quick first or second step is really big, because that'll get you to a lot of balls. But then it's you got to have hand-eye coordination to some degree and be able to control where you're hitting the ball, because you don't want to just kind of hit it back and forth. You need to actually be keeping it low, or you're just going to get the ball slammed on you all day, and that's not fun.
Okay.
But I mean, you need a little bit, but also if you can just get to the net, you just got to be quick and have some quick reflexes. That's kind of how, when I played against Dixon Jower, he would just get up to the net and he was just quick with his hands. He wasn't sprinting and getting lobs or anything like that, but he was just on that net and he was just stopping anything from getting by him. So I think there's multiple ways that you can play.
Yeah, and we've seen how serious.
Quick feet or quick hands.
I was going to say,
he had a headband
at the country club there. Obviously it has the disc golf, but that immediately then fills up with disc golfers as they have dedicated pickleball courts over at the country club in Emporia, and they have lights and everything else. And I feel like that place is just packed the entire week.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a really good workout, because it's quick sprint, quick sprint, quick sprint, quick sprint. So you do get drenched in sweat pretty quickly if you're actually playing and getting into it, instead of just kind of hitting the ball back and forth. But if you're actually playing matches, it's you feel it. You feel it for sure.
So that has to lead to my final pickleball related question, which is, have we seen any real injuries? Because the first time somebody legitimately hurts themselves,
blows out a knee,
is taken out of an event or taken out of the year, there's going to be this those idiots shouldn't have been playing pickleball. It's just human nature then to be like, we told you so. Have we seen any injuries, or do people not take it serious enough?
I'm not sure with pickleball, but at Waco they had that kickball match, Not Waco.
No, that was
Des Moines.
at Des Moines.
Des Moines. Yeah. Like Luke Humphreys, like, I don't know if he pulled anything in his leg, but he had to drop out of the tournament because some leg injury, and some people were feeling it the next day. So I'm sure that injuries can happen with everything. Even spike ball and pickleball and kickball,
rock climbing,
anything.
All these things everybody loves to do, anything, right?
Pickup game of basketball. I mean, anyone could blow an ankle or a knee.
I mean, you see in professional baseball, like people will fall out of their tub, and then break a bone in their hand. So it's like anything can. But if you're keeping yourself in shape and being, keeping yourself doing things, I think you'll be a little bit more preventative in that. But if you're just go, 0 to 100 into a pickleball you never played, and then you're doing full sprints, you could probably pull something or do something. But just don't go 0 to 100 and take care of yourself and stretch and just take care of yourself before and after, and you should be good. But there is a chance that you fall and hurt yourself. But
that unintentionally will segue into a contract question, which is, in a lot of sports, they have certain clauses about things people can or can't be doing in the off season or during downtime or even during the season, whatever the case might be. Your contract is obviously the largest, most significant contract that we've seen in disc golf. Are there any clauses? Are there anything that you feel like, this mirrors or mimics a professional athlete's contract? Is there anything in there that you could share that
that mine might have that other professional ones?
Yeah.
Not that I can think of. But I know of people who have contracts where you can't ride a motorcycle, you can't skydive, you can't ride a jet ski. But I know that's more like baseball and stuff, to where you can get hurt, and they got millions and millions and millions dumped into them. Mine doesn't have anything like that. But for me personally, I know not to ride a motorcycle, jet ski. I might hop on a jet ski, but I know my limits because, I don't have. I know, I just feel like I don't want to injure myself. Like, this is like a lifetime sport, so I want to get as much as I can out of it. To where baseball, 35 to 38 is about, that's old. Like, that's real old. And that's kind of where a lot of our players are now. And we don't consider them old, but we consider them kind of, getting to that age. But like Sexton, I think, is 37 or 38, and he's still taking top 10 at these majors, or top 5 or wherever he's at. So we don't consider that super old in disc golf yet. But no, I don't have anything specifically, but I've been advised to avoid certain things that I may go too hard in.
Well, I think sometimes just hanging out with with your boy Bob Giulio and Wagner and a few of those boys, that might be in your best interest to just tamper some of your activities with those guys, and you'll keep a little safer. So contract season for so many players. I don't know if you've got the tea, as your wife would say, or any interesting updates, or is there anything you're keeping your eye on, or anything that you can share? We're not expecting you to break anyone else's big news, but is there a person of interest that you're like, hey, I wonder where blank is going? They're up for their contract. Is there anyone off the top of your head that?
Well, I mean, I think it'll be interesting because, like, what was it last year? Ricky switched, and he was like in year one or 2 of a 5-year deal. It wouldn't surprise me if things like that became more common.
Not staying for an entire length of your agreed upon contract. Is that what you're saying? Sure.
And I think also players are probably putting it in their contract now to where they can leave sooner, even if they do like a 5-year deal, to where it's like, okay, we can leave after 2 years. To where in other sports there's player options, team options, and things like that, to where players might start putting that in their contract and stuff. So I think there might be clauses like that could start being in these contracts. And I think also, after we've seen with when Paige left DD, or Prodigy, whichever one, it might have been both, I'm not sure, but it's not a good look when someone wants to leave and they're kind of stuck to their contract, and it just doesn't, it kind of leaves sour taste in people's mouth, to where now it might be like, all right, just go. Like, it's going to be better if we just let you go instead of going through this little process and feud. So I can see things like that happening as well, to where if both agree, okay, this this isn't working out how we both envisioned. Neither of us are truly happy with it. Like, walk away. We'll just cut ties completely, and we'll just, burn this contract, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I can start to see things like that on mutual agreements and such. So I think there's a lot of things that can happen, especially with the more players that we have and the more companies that get into the sport and are looking for flagship players. You saw Lone Star with Nico. They're looking for these players that they can hang their hat on for a couple of years and kind of make an explosive announcement like that one.
Have you heard? And again, like Terry said, you don't have to spill any beans. Have you heard of anything big that we that's coming up at all that other people will be surprised about?
I've heard rumors, but I don't know anything that is pen to paper yet. But yeah, there are things that I have heard, but nothing that's been done. So,
does it feel a little? Yeah. I mean, should we feel a little bit? Almost a little bit bored in the fact that, from a media perspective exclusively, that people are now signing these 2, 3, 5-year deals, and it's just becoming more common. It's not nearly as volatile. Like usually November, December, everybody is, because 1-year contracts used to just be so much more common, and now people are signing for a 2 or a 3-year deal halfway through, in the middle of the summer, they're announcing, oh, I'm here for another 3 years. Like that takes away from our topic.
But I feel like we have so many top players now that those contracts are going to be spread out. Like it's like, oh, cool, Gannon's up this year, and then Isaac's up the next year. I don't know. What do you think, Paul?
No, I agree. I mean, it could go both ways, but I also think as far as a player and a company for marketing aspects, like you don't want to put your money and market someone if they're only there a year and you don't know if they're just going to leave. And you can see that with these commercials now. We got DGN that's playing commercials all the time. So if you have to make a brand new one, like that's a couple $1,000s, just down the drain if you only use it for a year or 6 months or whatever, however long it takes, if they're only with you for a year. So I think it goes both ways. And then a player can feel a little bit more secure and things like that they got 3 years potentially, under their belt. Yeah, like Johnny said, I think there's so many players that are coming up now. There's so many different companies that there's going to be players switching every year. Whether the money keeps going up, whether money keeps getting announced, like everyone's trying to shoot for this, what my deal was, what Ricky's deal was, Kristen and Kona, to where everyone feels like, oh, that person needs to get paid. That person needs to get paid. They're going to get the bag. And it's like, you got to realize like, that's a decade of work. That's a decade of work, Paige, decade of work. Like Kona was at least a decade in the sport. Like these are people that have been there a long time. So, Gannon's in his second year as a pro. If he signs a new deal and it's 6 figures, like that's huge. But don't expect people just to shell out $1 million for someone, even though he's young. Like who knows? Isaac,
still technically unproven. I mean, he's proven right now, but I'm saying he doesn't have that longevity. That's what I.
Yeah, like that. That's hard for a company. Like, yeah, some companies might be like, all right, we're taking this chance, but like that's a big investment for someone who's come up so fast, been there a year. And who knows? It could be the next big thing, and you just struck gold, or it could, hey, you're stuck with someone for 5 years, and they feel like their third year, they don't even want to play disc golf anymore.
Yep.
So, it's interesting, and this is kind of, I don't want to say it's like gambling, but like you're trying to find the next big thing. And I mean, you guys know how it is. You guys are doing that in the media. You always want to have the next big topic. You want to have. I know you want to go find the next big player. Like Terry saw Holland Hanley when she won that tournament down in Arizona. Like Terry was there filming. He's like, this girl's going to be good, or this player is going to be good. She's something. She didn't win this by accident. And here she is, top 10, top 5 in the world or something. So, and this is her first touring year, correct?
Yeah,
full season. Yeah, I know she kind of a half season last year or whatever.
Ended up quitting her job when she never thought she would. Now is sponsored multiple sponsors and is giving freaking online tutorials and clinics. And she's perfect for it. So
so like that's something Terry finds, and that's something that these manufacturers probably want to find, and who knows when other sponsors get into the sport and stuff, like if they're going to be doing the same thing where they're going to just be throwing money at someone like Gannon, like, all right, that's who we're going all in on. That's who we want to be our person for the next 10 years. So you never know. I think it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be other announcements, but I mean, those are our big contracts right now is manufacturers. So you never know who else can jump in and want to kind of have those kind of deals.
Did we just land on a money opportunity for me?
I was just about to
be an
say,
insider
to be a
these
scout?
Companies, to be scouting,
scout.
selling footage.
Yeah. Like, would it not make sense for someone like Discraft or DD or Innova to be like, hey Terry, we're going to throw you an extra X grand this year because we know you go to all these smaller events. You hit this. You've got
I like
your guys.
where this is going. Yes,
and guess what? You when you see someone, you call us because isn't that honestly, truly, isn't that kind of what you did with Holland?
That's exactly what I did with Holland.
You reached out to Eric McCabe and was like, hey, there's someone here that I think might benefit your team.
Now, just to use her quickly as an example, in talking to Holland and having a conversation with her, of course, I thought she was, an incredible person. She went on to tell me what she was throwing.
Exactly.
And then we had a conversation about, what brands she currently throws and/or likes and/or would consider. And I happen to be a conduit where I could say, hey, if you want, I'll reach out to McCabe. A few days later, she had an offer, in front of her.
But let's be honest, you could be a conduit for any team.
Because
you literally know everybody.
I will sell out. I will.
Yeah.
So show me the money. Yes, I like where this is going.
And I mean, I'll play with certain players, and Bob will be like, "Hey, can you check this player if you're playing with him, or if you see him at the tournament? Like, can you see what he does good, where he struggles? Is he worth, looking further into?" And players like that, to where he might say, like, they've reached out to us and I just haven't seen them in person, and you're at the tournaments. Like, that's kind of what a team captain role is as well too. It's like, hey, like, check these. Like, should we pursue that player further, or should we let him go? So those messages do come from the team managers and such, to where, that Terry could take that role.
Yeah. So. And I like it. Hashtag Terry Maguire.
Now, granted, he was the agent and not so much the scout, but I'll give you that.
That doesn't lead me too far, though, from asking Paul something else that was already brewing was, where are you in terms of an agent, in terms of representation, in terms of
third-party sponsorships?
Yeah, because you're where you are within your contract now, which is it's 5th year? Or
so my original one, this would be this 2023 would have been my final year for my original 4-year deal. So I'm only in year 2 of my 10-year.
You're only in 2 of
because he re-signed for 10 full years at the time.
At that
it wasn't
time.
an extension.
So this one ends when I'm 40.
Jeez. Okay. So
sorry, Discraft.
Yeah. Jeez. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Where does that leave you for other deals, and what does that look like? I mean, obviously, disc and sponsorship of Discraft is all locked and loaded. But who do you have a conversation about if an Under Armour or a Voss water came along?
I think there's so many options for sponsors. Just looking at this background that I have, it just kind of makes me think of like vacations or flights or like airlines and things like that. Like, there's so many options there. And you mentioned water, snacks, like there's so many options. I feel like that someone could be a representation for them, to where they feel like it's beneficial for their company. And they think, when people do sponsorships, they're paying someone money because they think that person's going to bring them more money. Like, that's business. So there are things that could work, but my biggest goal this winter is finding a real agent. I don't think we have a real agent in disc golf. I think we have a lot of people that are managers and lawyers that know how to negotiate deals, but I don't think we have a real agent in the world of disc golf yet. So that is one of my main goals this winter is to get a official agent that has worked with athletes from baseball, from golf, all basketball, all these sports. So that's one of my main goals. I've talked to one actually last week, and potentially another one here soon. But that is one of my big goals.
I was going to ask if you've reached out to some of the major representation firms with, I think, CAA, and I forget what some of the other ones are these days.
There's so many.
They've changed and merged, but I'm thinking just like some of the massive ones. Have you tried reaching out to them and being like, hey, I'm who I am?
I've talked to, like last year I had Wasserman, but that didn't really fully work out because all the sports came back, I feel like, and it was a busy time for them because they had all their athletes still. And had another buddy that works at a big company, but he, again, in season, they got all their athletes and it's hard. Yeah, definitely talking to one right now. And I would love to make something happen and work and just feel like I have someone behind me that is actually really excited about going into a new sport and seeing what they can do, because that's the hardest thing is they're entering a new sport that no one else has entered. So you're going to be struck with a lot of no's. So you got to have someone that's willing to accept that and just want to have fun with that challenge of what can I do in this sport? I want to be the first one to do it, and I want to do it at the best of my ability. So it's like finding someone that has that drive and isn't scared to do that. So, it's kind of a interview process at the same time of, we're both going to have to be on board, because even if they bring me a deal at the end of the day, I still have to be like, yeah, that's something I want. That's something I really like, and I want to support that, because they might bring me 5 deals and I might not necessarily the money side, but the product or whatever is in, the offer, I might not be a big fan of.
Yeah, it doesn't align.
So yeah, exactly. So it's like it takes both to really agree on something, and it takes 3 parties. The agent, the player, and then the company that's doing the sponsorship. So, it's hard to get all 3 of those to line.
Well,
because I can tell you, I had some offers last year, but they just weren't things that I wanted to promote or be a part of, and that was before there was even like number talks. It's like, no, I don't necessarily want to do that.
Yeah,
I nailed CAA, by the way. I looked it up, and it's like one of the largest.
There you go.
Creative artist agency, football, baseball, basketball, all the sports.
Yeah, I think if you look up Wasserman, they're like top 5 too.
Yep.
But they're
as Terry McGuire, I would just say stay away from Sports Management International, where I previously worked. You don't want to send Bob Sugar over there to help you out.
Oh, geez.
You need Terry McGuire. No, I think about, you've obviously helped lead the way and being in that position of having these opportunities. Then you've openly talked about the upsides and the downsides to selling ourselves short, selling some of our own athletes, selling themselves short. And I think of lots of different companies, whether it's Adidas and Adidas Terex, and how that kind of unfolded and melded into something that wasn't quite, how it started. Obviously you've, had smaller things. I feel like with like a Celsius, a McCabe, those are just a few that I can think about, more recently off the top of my head. Maybe elaborate. What are some of the things that you're just like, you're immediately shooting down that just like you just mentioned?
Or categories.
Yeah, category or just something that just doesn't interest you at all.
So like the first thing, so I was with Celsius. I really enjoyed that. But the thing that happens to some of these companies too is they get new like media marketing people like all the time. And so you just lose a contact, or you might just like, they might want to go a different direction because they feel like that one wasn't working. So Celsius, I did 6 months with them, and that was like a back and forth for like maybe a month of negotiating, because they actually approached me, and then me and my manager, we talked with them and we found a deal. So it's easier when I had a manager rather than an agent. So like an agent would go out and get those deals, to where a manager can kind of just negotiate them, figure it out. And we had a lawyer involved too. So anyways, it was like back and forth for about a month, negotiating and things like that. And we finally settled on a number and when it would start. And sorry, I forgot where I was going with it, but that was one that I liked. And then earlier this year we had G Fuel reach out, and the first thing I do is I want to try the products. I want to see if I like it. So G Fuel, I will say, sent a ton of stuff, products to try, but I just wasn't a big fan of them. Some people like them, and I tried them, and I was just like, this ain't it. So I passed on it. I had CBD products and just passed on them. A lot of YouTube ads and things like that, to where they wanted to be heavy on YouTube and stuff like that. And I was just like, I can't promise that I'll be able to put a YouTube video out a month.
Sure.
And if you want to do some other things, like we can work on something, but I can't promise you that. And so I would just pass on it because they would really want to do that.
Yeah. And just as 2 quick examples from the little YouTube that I watch, I think immediately of like your Manscaped, which obviously fits a lot of our demographic.
I would not do
category.
That. Yeah.
And then like Mud Water is another one that I feel like
Sure.
I see all the time, or the soap, the same company that makes the soap. There's some that just
the nutrients like or the athletic greens or something like that. Those type of things.
Okay. Yeah. So not necessarily that ad
What's the other one? DraftKings they always do. Yeah.
Okay, DraftKings. So the ad integration isn't something that you necessarily want to be committed to.
Not necessarily, no, because there are a lot of ad read opportunities, and I'm just like, I don't want that to just take up a ton of stuff and videos and stuff like that. So, if I was like, I'm a heavy user of the Manscaped products, like, of course I want them in my videos. I use them, I use them all the time. That might be a little different, but, so there's things like that, to where I've passed on those, but obviously I've taken the Celsius, I've taken, McCabe and I have been working. Actually, the drop that happens Thursday has a lot of McCabe in it, to where we work together on collaborations with a lot of the polos and stuff like that. To where that's a connection that we made and we've kept in contact, but it just hasn't worked out for a sponsorship yet.
Okay.
Because they are a new brand. I think they started in 2019, somewhere between 2017 and 2019, I think. So they're a new company. They're a golf concept company, and that's their focus. Even though, they help me out in disc golf, they still need to get themselves established in golf, until they feel like they are where they are. All right, let's go check out disc golf and see, carry it over there. So until they feel like that's the route that they want to go, we'll probably just have a close contact. And I really, really like their stuff. I wear probably a majority of the clothes that I wear. It just seems like it fits the best, and that's what I enjoy wearing. Other than that, there's no money. So I can't think of anything else on top of my head. Or what you mentioned. But
no, that's
and that's. I mean, I think as someone just said on the board, somebody says they respect you more, knowing that you you want to align with companies, whether it's their branding or their value, or not. It's not just a check that you're concerned about. You definitely want to. You want to have products that you believe in. You feel.
And how I look at it too is I say this to quite a few players too, and people that do try to get sponsors for players is for me, I know I'm at the top. I know I'm at the top of the sport. When it comes to sponsorship and things like that, like people want my name next to their products and pushing their products if possible, because of whether it's Instagram, YouTube, playing, whatever. To where I know, like I'm just gonna say, use Smashbox as an example. If Smashbox wants to sponsor me and you guys are offering me $5,000 for the year, and I'm like, all right, cool, $5,000, put your name on my back. I set the bar for the field. Like now, if Smashbox wants to sponsor, 25th player in the world, like you guys aren't sponsoring for $5,000. You're going like, we'll give you $1,000 to wear our name. Like I set the bar at 5,000. So why would you guys pay someone else more? Yeah, whatever, 250. Why would you guys pay anyone else more than 5,000 if you're already paying the person at the top 5,000? So like I feel like I'm setting that bar. So if I'm not saying no to a lot of these deals, I feel like I have that pressure on me to establish these high numbers for these players that are growing their brand or growing their career in disc golf. So I do have to say no to a lot. If I just accept a ton, $500 sponsorships, I feel like that's lowering everyone else's value.
Yeah, and I'll say you've been very consistent with that message, and some may say, well, that's easy for you to say. You get to pick and choose who you want, but the bigger picture is that for everything you just explained makes perfect sense. That as much as we love the idea of everyone getting some form of sponsorships, and it's so exciting to get a sponsor, you have to still have that value that is worth it to them and to you, and don't just immediately attach yourself. Now, it might be your friends, and that's one thing, but don't just sell out to everybody that's willing to offer you $100 for the year or, a free shirt.
Well, and if I say, like, let's say we'll go back to SmashBoxx. If you guys offer me 5,000, I say no, like I'm looking more for like 50 or 100,000. You're going to take your 5,000 and go sign that 25th player in the world for 5,000. So instead of him getting 250, now he's getting a $5,000 offer. Like it does put me in a different spot, but now I'm by saying no, you might go approach another player and give them that money you offered me because you see a different value in that 25th player now.
Yeah, and you graciously let somebody else get some of that bag because you passed on us. You're a sweetheart. You're a real sweetheart. No, we could not have a show tonight in this timing with a conversation about McCabe and all the drops that are coming out. There has been, so we couldn't let this go. There has been a lot of chatter, a lot of opinions about the clothing line that drops in a couple days. This is an unpaid ad for that, by the way, on the 25th. No, but there's been a lot of chatter. There's been a lot of people that do like it, but I feel like even more that have not loved it. So here's
a great expected something different.
Yeah, here's a great opportunity to give us your thought process and a little pull back the curtain, give us some insight as to what we're seeing and why we're seeing it, because there's a lot of opinions on it, and there always will be, but it seems like more than normal.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much going on in disc golf right now, so everyone needs to find something to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, if our big problems are what's Paul McBeth wearing, I guess we're in a pretty good spot, right?
Yeah. So I think people need to put their comments somewhere. So I don't mind.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I think it's something that's not in disc golf. Like me growing up in Southern California, a lot of it was skate, streetwear, surfing. Like a lot of my first clothing were based on like Huntington Beach and like that surf vibe and like kind of what I saw growing
kind
up.
Of look west. Yep.
So for the last 3 or 4 years since I've had, last 3 years, that's what a lot of my clothing has been behind. And for me growing up, it was a lot of like skateboard and like I said, like that kind of influence. So this is the first time where I kind of went that way. And then some of the other ones kind of have that metal rock, you can call it, a little bit more aggressive skate style, which again, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wears the same style of clothing, and that's fine. But there is mixed in, you got the McCabe polos and such and some other things. But I feel like there's not a big variety in disc golf right now. And that's fine. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
You could put in the background in the green screen. There you go.
Don't tempt me, Paul.
We're gonna make something work here. Johnny V, for our audio listeners, is trying to pull up, what it's listed as the Paul McBeth Made in LA collection.
That doesn't look great.
So you can kind of see on the the white shirt with the PM and the palm trees and stuff. It actually has from where I grew up in Huntington Beach. It's got the freeway system to downtown LA and stuff, and this is where I grew up. This is where disc golf started in LA, in Pasadena, California, LA County. I grew up in Southern California. This is kind of where it all started for me and where disc golf started. So it's just a lot of influences of companies and brands that I've worn throughout my life. And, it's not for everyone. Southern California gets a lot of hate anyways. So it makes sense that it's not for everyone, and that's okay. No one's being forced to buy it or forced to wear it, and it's a style that I like, but I also wear polos all the time too. So I want to wear things that are off the course, and I want something that I can wear too that's not just always my name. I really like those sweatshirts though.
And now we've got pulled up a bunch of these sweatshirts in what's called the 6-time collection. And maybe it's a little bit of the colors. I see the red, the white, the black. I go to a very, Chicago Bulls,
sure.
Late 90s.
Obviously you're, like you just said, an LA guy. You think of the Lakers or whomever, out of California. But do you ever, I also feel like there's a little Jordan influence in some of your style too sometimes, no? Or am I just making that up?
That's, no, I definitely think there is, in the sense of, not for me personally. I think what Jordan's done is great, but I think the guys at Discraft, the majority of their colors are red, black, and white as well. So it is heavily Discraft influence as well as colors. But I don't know what it is, but everything in my life tends to fall towards those three colors. Like I don't know. Like
I mean, they're the disc golf guy colors too: red, black, white.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, appealing to the eye. And red is probably the color I wear the least on the disc golf course. You know, it's probably the color you'll see me in the least.
Red kind of Sunday guy.
And white is the color I wear the least on the disc golf course. So now I'm going to have some new items that I'll probably be wearing on the disc golf course because I got some red and I got some white. And you know, like I said, it's not for everyone. I'm not offended by what people say. It's their own opinion, and you know.
I mean, to be fair, the best comment I heard was, "Cool, we're all hating on Paul's clothing, and it's probably going to still sell out." I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of got that going for you.
It's just a specific style. I mean, it's a West Coast style. I mean, it's nothing that you or I grew up with. You know, we saw it. We saw that on television and stuff like that, and it's from your.
It's very similar in Jacksonville too. I'm not like. I see it a lot in Jacksonville on the beach too.
Okay.
But yeah, it's. Yeah, like you said, it's definitely, people think West Coast when they see it.
Have you been surprised at how many people have been so opinionated on it, though? I mean, I'm getting DMs, literally getting DMs from people who are like, "Oh, McBeth's new clothing line sucks." I'm like, first of all, why the hell are you telling me? And second of all, it's pretty easy to just not purchase it. Like, it's just funny how worked up people are about it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the funniest things is I've seen comments that say like this person should be fired and this and that, and then like we just released some discs that are coming out as well on the drop, and like this artist should get a raise, and it's the same artist. Like it's he's expanding his portfolio.
As you know, an artist in general works off of a theme. You know, if people really enjoy, you know, these discs, I gotta keep double clicking.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, these discs right here, like here, these are
that's the same artist.
Yeah, the starring. The artist works off of what you ask them to. If you tell him, "Hey, I want more of a West Coast style. I want this type of font," they work with it. That's what a good artist can do. If you say, "Here's the Starry Night theme," you know, I want a Van Gogh kind of thing. That's what this is. Or we've got here the lightweight McBeth signature discs. Or I think the next one is the blacked out Lunas, which I
didn't even know those were coming out. Those are sick.
Those are awesome, and I'm hoping I get some. Yeah. So put in a good word for
me too.
For Julio. Yeah,
I'm hoping I get some too.
Yeah, Terry,
I haven't gotten any of those. I've gotten the other ones, and the lightweight ones feel really good. I got some of the lightweight ones.
Like what type of lightweight are we talking? Are we like? It says here, right, between 159 and 155 and 169. Okay,
they're all ESP. Yep. And then the ones that people hate on really is the VI, the ones that just have the VI stamp. But what people don't realize is, I don't know the last time that Discrafters ran solid colors either, like a solid white and a solid black, like in premium plastic.
Sure.
So, but yeah, people are hating on the stamp, which is fine. Everyone's like, we want the claws, but like, you know, we'll see if we want to do claws.
Again, I think
I'm totally kidding. We're doing the claws. We're doing the claws. Don't worry, we're doing them.
The Bulls 6 time, and again, I know that's maybe all far stretch, but between the colorway and the 6, it just, to me, you know, those were the connections I was making, but nonetheless.
Yeah. And we've had the claws done for the stamp and stuff done since pretty much right after Worlds, but we just didn't have the time to do it. Like last time we did it when I won 5, we did it to start the new year. And we did the 4. It was when, you know, the first year I signed, you know, January, February is when they were released. So they have a routine, and that's how they want to do it, and that's kind of how the 6 are going to do as well. So they'll be probably in people's hands to purchase in January, is my guess.
Oh, the claws?
I think retailers will.
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say, honestly, I'm okay if you don't do the claws. I mean, I understand it's a theme, but it's okay.
Definitely hard.
6 claws start to look weird.
It's okay it's okay to change it up as well. I mean, you almost don't want to flood a market with, you know, let's just do more claws and more claws and more claws. Like, cool, I've got 9 claws now. Or, you know, it's at some point it's like, cool, let's do something.
Wait, is there an octopus with claws out there?
It is one of those things where it's like you feel like it could get repetitive, but how can you make it? It's also fun to figure out how can we make it still feel like it's new. How can we make it feel like it's still exciting? So that's kind of the challenge for us too, is how can we make people still find the claws cool and fun and interesting, and some people want to collect them, some people want to throw them. that's up to the people that buy them to figure out what they want to do with them.
Yeah, I'm hoping to retire on my 4-claw stash that I held on to. So thank you.
I've got one bin. That's it.
Those champion rocks aren't doing well, huh?
I've got those too. I can face value on those, but and it was funny. Last time when your stuff first came out, there wasn't a ton of hype instantly, and that's why I had a whole box or 2 or 3 boxes, like hundreds of them. I think I ordered like 50 or 60 of the Lunas, the Buzzes, the Zones, the Forces, the Undertakers. I got like 60 of each. I think Johnny got like 5 or 10 of each of those within that order.
Got 5 of each one.
And I held on to most of the other ones, and people weren't losing their minds or freaking out at all, really, anything over them. So I did what I always do, which is I just stashed them, and that has turned out to be the smartest. Smart move.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people wanted to see if I even played well with Discraft first.
I wasn't worried.
All right, so I want to respect not keeping you here too long. I know you got stuff to do, so my final question, which is really just an easy softball plug for you, is give us the latest on any Paul McBeth Foundation news, accomplishments, projects. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, so we they either left yesterday or today, but we have a team in Africa right now. It's going to Uganda, and they're going to Uganda, but they're installing courses in Uganda and Kenya. And what's really cool about that is there is a huge university meet to where I think all the universities in Africa are coming to Uganda to meet. And the team that's going there is going to teach disc golf to potentially thousands from all over Africa that are attending this university meetup. And I think it's an athletic thing, I believe. So there's going to be a lot of athletes there. I wish I knew all the details, but I've been at tournaments, so I missed the last couple of meetings, but that's on me.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so Chandler Fry's there, Missy Gannon's there. And so those are 2 that I'll probably be updating a lot, depending on what kind of cell service and stuff like they got, or if they're doing videos that they might post later. But yeah, we got a team in Uganda right now that's going to be teaching disc golf, installing disc golf course, and they're going to be there for 2 weeks, I believe. Nice. So I'm looking forward to hearing, and Chandler will probably be one to keep up on social media. I know we made a video not that long ago. So that's the last one this year in 2022. 2023, we definitely have some projects lined up. For me personally, I'm going to be going to Mexico to play the first PDJ event at the Paul McBeth Foundation course down there. Mm-hmm. I think it's February 9th through 11th.
Okay.
So that's in La Paz, Mexico. And then, Guatemala had a PDJ tournament not that long ago where Zoe and Dustin and a few were there, and they taught disc golf to a couple hundred kids there, if not close to 1,000, I believe.
Wow.
So a lot of people they taught disc golf, because I think they went beyond just the area this time. They went and explored some other schools and regions in Guatemala, and I think Nicaragua was another one that we were putting a course in this year, and I think we're going to send a team there. Hopefully Kevin Jones has said if we ever go to Nicaragua, he wants to be involved. So
because he did
spent
a project
year there or something.
Yeah, he was there.
Yep, that's where he learned all his Spanish and everything. Awesome. So hopefully we can get Kevin Jones to that one.
Did you expect to have this much expanse this quickly with the Paul McBeth Foundation? Like, obviously there's optimal situations, but is this what you saw when you did this soon? Because I feel like every 2 months there's a new course going in from you.
Yeah. So when we originally talked about setting this up, we were expecting 2023 to be our first project. So we thought we were gonna have to fund and get everything up and get out of the logistics, and 2021, because it was still COVID and all that stuff, like the pandemic had still been in effect, but we were like, you know what, so I think Trump was just about to leave office, so there were easy
everybody easy take it down a notch, Terry.
So he was just about to get out of office, and apparently it was that was the time to try to really get this nonprofit off the ground, because he was very on board with nonprofits and stuff like that. So so we kind of expedited that, and then we thought the project, we're like, all right, we'll just get this in the works and we'll go and start to build it. But there was such a positive feedback from everyone in disc golf that we went all in right then and there instead of waiting and trying to build it. And I think we have like 10 courses in the ground or not. And we were talking like we could go bigger if we want to, but man, we're putting 4 to 6 courses in a year. So we're having the talks right now, and next month we have a board meeting or a retreat to where we're going to go over that. Is do we want to push this up another level and do more courses in a year? But we might have to double in size, or do we want to just keep it how we're going now, put in 4 to 6 projects a year, like we did Camden, New Jersey this year, the 2 courses in Uganda, the 1 in Kenya, Nicaragua, and then I'm forgetting one. There was one more, but about 5 or 6 projects this year. So
Chicago, right?
Chicago was last year. So last year was Mexico, Chicago, Guatemala, Colombia. So we did 4 last year for sure, potentially more, because there's a lot more that we're helping out that aren't projects, but we might be helping fund them, get baskets, or just do things to where they might need a little bit more help.
Yeah, I was going to say like projects Croatia or weren't.
Montenegro. Montenegro was this year. The one that I forgot this year. Okay. Yeah, because I actually went to that one. But yeah, so there's some little projects that we're definitely helping out, but these are the big projects where we need more funding and stuff like that to send a whole team to help do it from beginning to end. But no, I did not expect this to be as successful as it is right now and this quickly. I knew we were going to get projects in the ground because I knew we were going to have the money that I was donating from my earnings, which I've done since the thing has started. So I've put in a couple $100,000 now, which is awesome because that's really helps fund a lot of these and get the teams together and get the courses installed and helping them be sustainable, not just put a course in the ground and let it go and here you guys go, enjoy. Hopefully it stays there, but keeping up and maintaining and just keeping them sustainable and help promotion as long as we can until they feel like they can just, all right, we're ready to take it all and do their thing with it. So, yeah, it's been incredible to see. And the first one we did in Mexico, it's like some of the people there that learned disc golf when we introduced it with the foundation are playing tournaments in other parts of Mexico. Some are going down to, I think one or two might have went down to Guatemala. But like these projects are intersecting with each other now too, and they're like going and supporting each other. Not just like not that they just know disc golf now, but they're going like, oh, Mexico people are like, let's go to Colombia, or Colombia are like, let's go to Mexico, and they're coming together in a way too, to where they're thousands of miles apart too. So it's just incredible to see how much it's grown and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that one in Mexico. So if anyone wants to come down as well, I'll be there.
All right. I got a cough. Sorry.
Oh. We're gonna mute Terry while he coughs in the background.
Like you just, as you said, it's crazy to think that you were hoping to have your first project in 2023, and now it sounds like you got a dozen or so, or nearly, a 10-pack in the can, and obviously a ton more on the horizon, and the support that continues to roll in, and so many different entities and people. I said that from day one. The fact that it's not just a Discraft, underwritten project and or themed. I know you've worked very closely with Doug Bjerkes, just as one example. You've worked with Discmania. The fact that you're cross branding these and a little bit agnostic to the various brands, I think it just proves that there's a bigger overarching goal and success that can come of it because of that, and not just being stuck in one lane. I think is one of my favorite parts about it. Of course, you're doing all these incredible things, but the fact that you're reaching across the aisle, so to speak, and having all these people involved, I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the one thing to speak on that is I got to be thankful for Discraft, because they are open to that and they know disc golf goes beyond me. It goes beyond Discraft. Like disc golf it's a worldwide thing, and no matter what, if Discraft's in disc golf, they're always going to have competition. So why not grow the sport together? And this is some way that they're growing it well beyond just here in the U.S. They're based here in the U.S. We're doing projects in the U.S., but all these other countries that we've reached and be able to bring the opportunity to disc golf too. Because I know disc golf it has the opportunity that you can become a professional player. It has the opportunity to where it can save so many lives and just find something that they need to do to where they can take their mind off certain things or find something that they can interact with other people. And there's so many of those disc golf saved my life story, but also it's got job opportunities. So I think there's just so many different ways that it can just bring opportunity to people that we don't even know need that. So, so I'm thankful for Discraft for seeing that and allowing me to do this, and thankful for all the other supporters who have been a part of it. Like you mentioned, Dynamic Disc and Doug Bjerkes and Ledgestone, and there's so many other companies that we haven't even worked with yet. Sure. Discmania has been a big help, but there's so many other disc manufacturers that we haven't worked with, and basket manufacturers as well.
Yeah, well, and like you said, the impact are felt both are both obvious and maybe even a little more subdued and hidden, but they're all there. Yep. And I think that's what's been so incredible. So
well, last thing too, I was going to say, if you're free February 9th through 11th, I don't think they have anyone filming that event yet. So I don't know if you have anything on your schedule.
I might be in Thailand.
I
know what a possible objection, but let me double check schedules. Anything's possible. Let me double check and see what is going on. But it's just incredible that the expansion continues to happen the way that it has. I know Dustin Leatherman had just reached out a few weeks ago, asking or telling us some of the things that are in the works. So it's great to hear it from your own.
He is someone that would be good to get on for 30 minutes and just explain everything that's going on with the foundation. He's in the know. He is actually the executive. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. We'll have him on and we'll talk about exactly where some projects are at, and then what, because that's always the first question is, people say, how do we learn more? How do we participate? How do we become, a factor here and be a part of it? And I think that's
PaulMcBethFoundation.org.
All right. Well, Paul, we wish you the best of luck on your drop this week. Hopefully somebody buys at least a shirt of yours.
Maybe one or two.
I know you're going to just be sitting there with your phone hoping that extra
the day after
$27 goes into your account. Yeah. But in all seriousness, we appreciate you joining us, giving us some insights. It's funny how little we talked about disc golf but yet everything else. And there's no more better person to give us those insights behind the scenes. And the entire world appreciates it, and your honesty and how transparent you are with everything. So enjoy some time on the pickleball courts, and we look forward to probably catching up with you in another month or so, maybe.
Yep, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you guys and anyone else that celebrates here in the U.S. So thank you all and for letting me be here, and I'll see you guys next year.
All right,
say hi to the family, say hi to Nick there for us, all that good stuff.
Thank you to everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night. See ya.
All right. See ya.
And Paul McBeth, your 6-time world champion.
I'm thankful for Paul.
I wish he'd just get his shit together.
I mean,
okay, maybe not. No, in all seriousness,
I don't know if there's anyone that has their stuff together more than him. Honestly,
and if he doesn't, he's got a
person for it.
He's got a team and a person for it, and that's equally as admirable as if you can't do something, find somebody else that can.
Shout out to Zach at the Paul McBeth Foundation, who I was working with Skip Ace to do fundraising for the Paul McBeth Foundation, sending out all of the prizes this week. They had to wait because Paul donated his players pack for the USCGC, which was an awesome players pack. It came with an umbrella, like a bag, some discs, all sorts of other goodies that were inside. But the problem was they couldn't get his players pack until he came, I think it was like down to Florida to get it for Thanksgiving during the move. And so there was a little bit of delay on it, but ultimately I believe that all went out this week. So shout out to Zach. I appreciate everything that you do for the Paul McBeth Foundation.
Well, it was great. Now, I know I teased it out there just a few moments ago in the chat. And I don't know how we top it. You go a night of world champions, and I'm just going to say that we're going to have another world champion. He's going to get himself set up in a moment, and then we're going to bring him into the show. So there's one hint.
But is he doing it from the beach?
He is a world champion. I don't know if he's in a beach. I know he enjoys some time in the water, near the water.
He does.
And is an outdoorsy type. But a world champion is
retirement's treating him well.
Is going to be joining us here very soon, and some guesses that are coming in include Avery Jenkins, Nate Doss. I saw Nate was playing this last weekend out in California. It looks like I saw a shot from top of the world. He was playing with Wes from Revolution, a huge band. I know they're good friends, and they were able to get a casual round in out there. Nate was a guest. James Conrad has been a guest. You know James enjoys nature and the water. Felberg, Climo, a couple solid guesses. Dave Felberg. I haven't seen Dave Felberg at a beach. I've seen Ken Climo plenty of times beaching it up in one way or another. Greg Barsby, that's another good question or a good suggestion. But looks like we're ready for a 2010
multiple major winner
and world champion and coach over at Emporia State University. We've got EMAC Eric McCabe.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Sorry to disappoint everybody.
Not at all.
We just ran through every other champion from the last 20 years. Didn't mention Mr. Eric, but
well, we threw him off. To be fair now, some of our viewers weren't around in 2010. They weren't playing disc golf. You already racked up a world title and then hopped right back in your element and said, let's grind it out some more. Back in those days. Back in those days, EMAC. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How about you guys?
We are great.
So do we call you champ? Do we call you coach? What's
Mr. Designer, sir?
Mr. Designer, sir. Mr. Alaska. Do you make the kids call you champ, or they call you coach, or they call you Eric?
Oh, they call me coach, and everybody at ESU on the athletics calls me coach as well, which we'll get into it, I'm sure, here in a little bit. But one really cool thing about this whole program is it's not a club. It's working with the athletics. So it's, I'm having monthly meetings with the head coach of the football team, the basketball team, the volleyball team. So it's not just like, yeah, hey guys, we're gonna do this. The ESU's doing it right. They brought me in. I'm on the payroll at Emporia State University. They gave me scholarships for every one of my players, so all of my players are have scholarship money to go to college and get an education and play disc golf, and it's been awesome. It's been fantastic.
So are you tenured yet? Did that happen already? No? Okay.
Already?
So,
not
get that sweet pension.
Yeah. So break down, I mean, I know you just touched on it, but what did ESU have to do to make this type of, or what does this commitment mean is a better question. What does this commitment mean to going all in on such a significant level? How did those conversations come about to say, hey, this isn't just going to just be a club sport. This isn't going to be just, 10 guys that are just hoping to show up for free spring break money like Johnny V and I did in 1998. This is obviously serious. So how did those conversations get started?
So this past summer, it was actually while I was in Alaska, Doug Bierkus had called me and asked me if I had any interest in becoming the head coach of the Emporia State disc golf team. And I had mentioned, let's hear some details on it. What are their thoughts? What do they want to do with it? How serious do they want to be with it? They have some money funding coming in from the city of Emporia as well, and Dynamic Discs is obviously on board as well. But it's just been, it's unique, right? It's a unique situation. There's the collegiate scene is getting so big. I mean, there's so many regional events out there right now. The national championship every year has been growing into this massive event, and now people kind of have a choice, right? If here's the thing, if you're a solid disc golfer out of high school, you do have a couple options, right? If if you're a Gannon Burr, you're probably not going to go to college. You're probably just going to hit the road and start, cashing checks, I guess you would say. But but there's a lot to be said for these players that are going to school and getting an education to potentially fall back on. And the college scene is amazing. The disc golfers, how good these players are now, how much younger they're getting is it's phenomenal. It truly is.
Is your team made up mostly of people who already knew the sport and came in and you're helping out? Or do you have anybody that just that didn't know the sport coming in and it's like, hey, I want to join the disc golf team at ESU and I've got Eric McCabe here to teach me how to play?
So I have 8 guys and 2 gals, and it makes up four guys on each the D1 and the D2 team, or A and B, however you want to look at it. Every one of them knew what disc golf was. We had tryouts over the summer where I think we had 50 people come out and try out for this disc golf team. So we had a lot of people interested that were already enrolled. I did convince a few players to enroll in school. One of them, Alexis, he's one of our guys. He worked at Dynamic and he was looking for something to do, looking at the next chapter in life, and going to school was absolutely one of those. So I've got him going to school. We had a guy, Grant Yoder is another one of our players that moved to Emporia for disc golf. His reasoning was the tuition was about the same as the colleges in his area, but coming to Kansas, he could play disc golf. So that was one of his big reasons, So all of my guys had played disc golf. It was my 2 girls. The one of them had played disc golf. I actually met her on the disc golf course. She is a starter on the volleyball team, actually. So she's very athletic. Just played disc golf casually for fun, those kind of things. But Rebecca, her name's Rebecca Thompson. She is brand new. This girl has been playing disc golf for 3 weeks now. And we all took a trip to Jonesboro last weekend for an event. And her first ever, can you imagine this? Her first ever competitive round of disc golf was played on the FPO layout at Jonesboro.
She just saw what Kristen Tatar did and just had to just say, hey, just do what she did.
Because Emporia isn't short. I mean, you guys have the 2 or 3 arguably within 20 minutes. Pretty championship caliber courses if you want to play them, but you also have every corner has a disc golf basket, exactly. But a lot of beginner friendly courses. So did she get a chance to play at Country Club or Jones Gold beforehand, or is it just hey, we're gonna play at the community college and then you're going to Jonesboro?
Pretty much. He played a few rounds over at Hammond, which, as you know, is a 9-holer, very beginner friendly, right across the street from the country club. But she had never really opened up on a course and never played Jones, never played country club or anything like that going into this event. But the one positive thing for her was she played doubles, so it wasn't like it was all on her shoulder to go out and perform. But it was impressive. These girls went out and performed and ended up in second place. I mean, they battled. I mean, I think that's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to the women's collegiate disc golf, potentially. I think there's a lot of newer players that are involved. I think even the national championships have some newer ladies involved playing in that division. But it's growing, and she's hooked. We went down to Winfield this past weekend and competed in an event. We had the Kansas State Doubles Championship here in Emporia this weekend as well, and I convinced those 2 to play. And it wasn't a college event; they're just hooked. They just are looking for any time that they can play disc golf. So this weekend they played that, and that was at Supreme. So they both partnered up and went out and played Supreme and had a heck of a time for sure.
So you'll have to maybe make it a little bit more clear for me, because I'm thinking I'd heard something about you guys are the number 1 ranked team now. And is that, how does that work? Because is that part of collegiate nationals? Are you guys going to go to, they still do it at the Hippodrome? Or they rotate, or I don't even know anymore where they play it, because they play it every year in the spring, I believe. Is that what you're qualified for? Are you are you going to beat the established teams that are there now? Is that what I'm hearing?
So I don't try to put expectations out for myself or the team or anything like that, because those, you know what happens when you put expectations on the line, especially if you're telling young kids, hey, we're going to win this. There's a way to do it. But yeah, so the regional events that the college disc golf hosts, those are all qualifiers now. It used to be you could just sign up for the nationals. Now it's not like that. You have to qualify for it. And the event in Jonesboro that we actually attended was a qualifier. And we won that event by 6 strokes over, I think it was Mississippi State and Missouri. And Missouri was the current number 1 ranked team in the nation. Mm-hmm. So we took them down by 6 or 7 strokes, and they are the returning champions as well. They won nationals last year in men and women. So that's, I think, how we catapulted up into number 1. We're number 4 after winning an event, more of a conference event, which is like what we've mainly played in up until now, is these conference events where you're going up against local schools around your area. But the season is a little weird, so it kind of goes through the winter. We don't have another event on our schedule, an official event, until February now, but we're going to use this off season to keep grinding at least. And I got some connections with the University of Missouri to meet up in Kansas City, actually bring both teams and do some scrimmages, and it's only going to be good for both parties, right? So how the world ranking or the national rankings work, it's usually after every regional event. I think that they change those, and I think winning events every week is 100% how you stay on top, and that's what we've done. We've played 3 events, and our D1 team has won 3 events.
Well, I've been listening to all of this while doing some looking around at some of the college disc golf graphics, and I know it looks like they have a few more details on their Instagram than they do on their site, and immediately I see Shelby Ebert is in the top 10. She's in 7th right now for Emporia State on the women's side, and then you can go through all the individual men's rankings as well. It looks like this was posted just a few days ago, and clearly quite active. And that's why, just as you mentioned a moment ago, you talk about a season, and we almost have to refocus and realign what a traditional season has been, somewhat January to December or February to October. Season. And now we're looking at, more traditional school year type seasons. But I see obviously active. There was a Texas Collegiate Championship that's taking place. And then it says the March to Marion, the national championships in Marion, North Carolina, April 5th through the 8th. And so, it's really incredible what this all started as when all of us were much younger, and you're just like, oh yeah, sure, college disc golf, and now we hear we
had to start a club. We literally, you and I and a couple other guys started a UWM club, which obviously wasn't official. That was just, hey, anyone could start a club for more or less anything they wanted. You just had to fill out some paperwork and work some things. So back then there were no teams.
Yeah, this is so much more to it. So
which means we still have some eligibility. We can sign up at ESU.
Yes,
we got 4 years of eligibility.
I've called EMAC a lot of things. Coach is should be the next thing.
EMAC, you can shave. Sign up.
Scholarships. I've got a 33-year-old playing for us right now, so we can make it happen.
Yeah. What's the master's program look like there? Can I come get a good master's degree in something?
Got a master's degree. So she graduates in December next month.
All right. Well, it sounds like I got to move to Emporia.
That's just a long commute.
long commute, yes. I ain't that smart. I was just saying the other day, I don't know if a master's would help me at this stage in my life. I don't know if I'm helpable. Anyway, so clearly, I think a huge component of this is that there was a conversation early on with Doug, the president of Dynamic Disc, the integration with the city of Emporia, the integration with Emporia State. Like, this is all very, very cohesive. And what an opportunity for you who, you have these things you're really interested in, and you've worn the hat of team manager, some product development, course design, which is definitely a huge passion of yours, and now this on your plate. Where, if you had a Frisbee, and that represented your piece of your pie, what is college disc golf? How much of your pie is that taking up?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, enough to have me eliminate the team manager portion of my job. So
okay,
I'm done with that point. I've moved on from that, which I'm very happy for. To be in this new role, it's kind of similar, right? You're still still overseeing players, maybe not as many. I think it was 150 or something like that I was doing before, and 10's a little easier to keep track. But it honestly takes up quite a bit more time than you would think. So my plate is basically now just this college disc golf and course design. I'm still involved in a lot of course designs, and obviously I have all summers to do it. I have most of the winter I can do it, which is really when you want to be designing courses anyway. So it's taken up a good portion of my my time right now, and I'm the one that's driving these kids to these events too. You gotta remember that. I'm like checking out vans at so get this, for Jonesboro we had
You're the only one old enough to rent a car.
Right. No, I got one other guy that can do it. But no, it's giving me a car, giving me one of their vehicles to drive down there, and a gas card, and here's a credit card for hotels for you guys to stay in and all that. So Emporia State's really doing it right. I can't stress that enough. But we did have an 11-passenger van, 11 people, and all of our gear going to Jonesboro a couple weeks ago, 7.5-hour drive or something like that. So we really got to know each other.
Yeah,
it was great.
Close quarters.
Good.
Yeah.
So you drove. So does that mean you got to pick the radio station? Are you just like 90s at 9, guys? That's all we're doing.
It was 80s at 8. 80s at 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are going to hear a little Whitney Houston before she took a nap. Anyway, I want to dance with somebody. So that's awesome that you get to do all of that. And I think it's a fair question. Is there any implied or overt obligation for what these players are throwing?
Absolutely not. If they want free discs, they're going to throw dynamic.
Okay.
If they want to buy a destroyer and throw that, I'm okay with that. That's I'm not trying to hold these kids back on only throwing one particular brand. Now I will say Dynamic has really stepped up and given each one of them a Ranger bag, a small allotment, some apparel as well. So they're going to be looking good out there. But it's not forced on them to throw the 3 brands.
It'd just be funny if there was like some tax every time they go out to the internet. Every other brand is like 3 times as much to purchase, or they could get the free stuff. No, that's again very generous. Roughly, I mean, do you feel like most people are they leaning one way or another? Not necessarily a brand, but do a lot of people lean into DD? Which seems like with you as a coach, it would be also just a familiarity thing. Like it would be that much easier to be like, hey, if I throw, I know what a trespass
does.
Yeah, I mean, are they learning their own ways?
That goes without saying, right? Everyone has to have an EMAC Truth in their bag. But
yes. Even if they don't throw it, you must carry it, otherwise.
Or an EMAC Judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either one, I'm good. No, no, not at all. A lot of them have been really. I mean, a lot of them were already throwing dynamic, already ahead of time. So yeah, and like I said, if they want the free discs, they're going to throw our brands, and that's great. If they want to, they do. If they don't, they don't. One thing Dynamic is doing right now also is we have a Lucid Glimmer EMAC Truth on our website, and all the proceeds are going to the team as well to help with. I mean, there's a lot of funds that go into it, right? There's a lot of costs of entry fees. There's hotels, gas. There's just a lot of money that goes into apparel, all that fun stuff. So there's this fundraiser on our website as well, and the proceeds are going to the players. So it's kind of cool to see.
I wish I'd have known that. I just bought literally in the mail yesterday. I got 5 of the new Supreme escapes, I think.
Well, then you're not doing it right, because I saw the post from EMAC, and I was just going to say, if I can find it right now, I'm going to link to it.
I ordered them when the Supreme ones were announced, so I don't know if I saw that post yet.
See, you got to be looking for EMAC deals. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we'll put a link to it once I can find it here in a moment. What's been the most surprising thing? And I know it's somewhat in an early stage, but for you, given this role, given your experience, your knowledge in the game, and then where the game is at today versus, when you won your world title even, but what's been the most surprising thing about this experience in its early stages here?
I think a couple things come to mind. I think the first thing is the success that we've had so far. None of these players, a couple of them knew each other, but not very many of them had known each other going into it. And the format that they play is a little unique, so adapting to that has been pretty good. It's been solid, and I think winning at Jonesboro was a big surprise for us, and it's a big motivator too as well. And I think the other thing would be how open arms everybody in Emporia State has been. I work with the athletic director. That's my main contact at ESU. So in monthly meetings, it's insane. We're talking budgeting. We're talking about upcoming things that are happening at Emporia State, and it's not just we're going to do this and then let's forget about it, right? It's they're following through with it. Scholarships for players. I know the Oklahoma Christian University's been doing scholarships. They did them this year as well, and I think I read somewhere that Winthrop University is looking to get into it and do some scholarship type stuff as well. So I'm just really thrilled to be in at the ground level, right, where we're starting to do this, and hopefully more universities catch on and hire a coach, an assistant coach, and give these kids salaries or scholarships technically to come to their universities, and that's what Emporia State's doing. They want tuition, they want new people coming to town to get an education and live in Emporia. So it's a win-win for us, and we're really hoping that more universities catch on.
Yeah, this is multi-level in the fact that, like you just said, there's a tourism component to it. There's the school and the sheer education component to it. There's an athletic side and the sports development side of it. There's so many different layers that can all be beneficial here. How many other schools, and I know you haven't been to quite everything, but how many other schools have a dedicated coach that you would say is your equal in terms of what they're doing and the commitment that school has given to that coach? Do you feel like are you one of only 3 that exist, or are there 10 of you across the country?
That I'm aware of, I'm only aware of 2 or 3 others that have an actual coach, helping out with things. Now they have like captains or people that are involved in one way or the other and ironing out details and whatnot, but majority of those people are players too, so they're playing well. So as far as I know, I'm one of 2 or 3 across the country. I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure I'll learn about more and meet more, but as of right now, that's really all that I know of.
Yeah, which is crazy, and I funny. A few weeks ago, I kind of blathered on my own little podcast about just disc golf jobs. And now here's yet another one you can add to that list that we didn't see coming 10 or 20 years ago, that the reality is someone like yourself or having some role or capacity that's attached to having a disc golf team, whether it's directly with the university or in some kind of support mechanism. It's incredible that here's yet another unique opportunity that just didn't exist years ago. And it's mind-blowing almost.
Who teaches the forehand on the team?
Oh, hey! You had to go there. Ouch. I can kick him off.
That's a 2000s joke right there, because none of us threw him.
That's a fact. Hey, me and James Conrad.
Exactly.
Feldberg, too. Let's be honest.
Feldberg, I was just going to say, yep.
What is that? What practice is? Do you guys go out and do like, hey, we're gonna work on putting today. We're gonna throw 500 putts or whatever, and today we're gonna. Do you teach different particular shots? Is it more
mental strategies, tournament strategies?
A little bit of everything. We'll do a lot of scrimmages of like one-on-ones. I'll do one-on-ones with players if they want some help on their form or anything like that. But a lot of it with disc golf is just repetition, getting out there in the field and throwing, putting. I will say one thing that was really cool for one of our practices is we had Ricky in town, and I had Ricky come out a clinic for us, which was huge. I mean, that's just big. It just helped each one of them new players build confidence. Rebecca, the girl that I had mentioned, this was her first introduction to disc golf, was Ricky Wysocki, and learning from Ricky Wysocki. Insane, right? That just doesn't happen. And the only reason that she really got into it and wanted to play was because Shelby, our other gal, wanted to play but wouldn't be able to play in events if we didn't have another lady. And she just stepped up to the plate and said, hey, I'll do it. I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. And she's PDGA member now and playing solo rounds by herself, and it's pretty much a big deal. It's pretty awesome.
Are you going to pull any strings to get like we'll say like a Holland Hanley or Kona or whomever to come in? Some of the other
Valerie Mondahano.
Mondahano is a great example. Any of the other females,
other celebrity guest coaches and helpers.
You've got a little bit of pull, I've heard.
Yeah.
Anytime one of our players, I don't care who it is coming through town, I'm gonna try and get them to come out and just to talk a little bit. Even if it's just playing a few holes with these players. The ladies' side would be fantastic to have a Val or a Kona, a Holland, any of our gals really. Yeah. Kristen, if she's ever in Emporia, that would be huge. But yes, absolutely, that's a no-brainer for me to have those guys and gals come in and throw some knowledge down on our players.
Yeah, it's such a, obviously being not only an employee of DD and being as connected as you are, to have those opportunities. Not even your best, your best colleges. I think of a Ferris State, I think of a Mizzou, and I think of them, and sure, their location may occasionally have somebody roll through town if somebody knows somebody, but the fact that you like you just said, there's almost a contractual pat on the back, and
most of the players at least come to Emporia sometime early in the season to either restock their discs or do
media
shoots or media things like that. So it's a nice little advantage you have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm honored to be a part of it for sure. And what's going to be fun moving forward is recruiting, right? Going to junior worlds or U.S. juniors or any junior event or, whatever, and talk to these kids and say, hey, do you want to come to school? Do you want some money? I've got some money for you if you want to come play disc golf at Emporia State University. So, that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to in the upcoming years.
Wow, imagine EMAC going to like someone's house to meet the parents, like the whole recruiting visit. Like yes, Mrs. Smith, I will make sure your son gets a great education here at ESU, but you have to understand he's got to dedicate time to disc golf.
And instead of opening up like a briefcase or your golf bag, you pop open a pop-up, recruit basket or something, and you just set it up in their living room and like, yes, these are some of the things we can get you into.
Because I never thought about recruiting at like a junior or anything, because you've got the junior under 18 that, some of those kids probably want to go to college. Some of them, like I said, you might have your once in a generational player like Gannon Burr that's going to forego that. We know that's going to happen, but a majority of the kids are probably going to want to have something because they're not all Gannon Burrs. We've seen that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I've already got a couple kids on my mind of seniors in high school this year that are going to be transitioning and potentially going to school next year, and I'm pretty excited about a couple of them for sure. So.
Sweet. Well, now that we're finally on the Terry McGuire talk, I want to talk about my finder's fee. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I again, I know we talked about Holland and how she was such a great fit. She, through a lot of West Side and Dynamic branding, and that was I felt like the easiest thing in the world for me to be able to do, because it wasn't really a hard sell for you or a hard sell for her. It was just really a match that
made
needed
in
to be,
heaven.
a match that needed to take place, and I'm just super glad that it could. When you're looking at these college age players, and I think about how Dynamic specifically stepped up and was the title sponsor of the Maple Hill Invitational last year, a college-based event where Steve brought in Mizzou and Fair State and 6 other colleges, and Dynamic, he said, was basically jumped at the opportunity to be the presenting sponsor of it on I don't want to say a last minute, but on a very,
tight timetable.
Tight timetable is a good way to put it for Dodge, and put it together. It was a phenomenal event. I got to meet some of these teammates. Do you feel like it's a no-brainer that DD as a company gets more in the college hosting business? You guys already run events. That's one of the many things that you do so well. Is it now a no-brainer where you guys are hosting college-based events now with this stronger tie and bond that you have?
Oh, absolutely. And not just sponsoring events in other places, but potentially running a big regional event right in Emporia as well, bringing other universities here to town. And I think that makes a whole lot of sense for us to do. The current regional event is at the farm I designed that I'm very partial to. So I'm very excited for that one to happen this year too, but we're going to be sponsoring it. I believe we're going to be title sponsor of it as well. But talking with Derek Savory, who is our sponsorship coordinator, he's already had some universities reaching out to him to not just sponsor events, but sponsor teams as well. So there's a lot of that. A lot of these teams are looking for those kind of things, and for us to be a part of it on the ground level makes a whole lot of sense.
Cool. I can't say it enough. I know that Steve Dodge specifically had watched the college nationals, in early April. I think he was saying he's kind of watching it at home throughout that weekend, and then it like a light bulb went off like it always does with Dodge. He's like, wow, college disc golf, that needs to happen here at Maple Hill, and just like that, a month later, the event was taking place, and it was pretty cool that he helped facilitate and orchestrate all of that, and it was a really good time, and a lot of people, all these participants got to come play Maple Hill under some legitimate pressure and with some fun, but also some pressure. So it makes sense that DD gets on board and is a host of one or many things as well, I think.
They do it at Winthrop as well, right? Around USDGC, the Dean's Cup.
The Dean's Cup takes place. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, the finals are usually Saturday morning. Well, traditionally it's been Saturday morning before the round started.
I remember always pulling in for my rounds or pulling in for a round one day and seeing those guys out on hole 5 already playing. So that's pretty cool. Get to play a course like that has got to be special for those kids.
And that was the exact philosophy at Maple Hill. Yeah, is like, hey, you're going to play the golds. And then when Steve asked at the end, he asked the winning team, he said, do you guys want to go jump in the pond? And all I kept thinking is, A, yes, of course. And B, you may or may never get a legal opportunity to again jump in that pond, especially as a champion. Yeah, you're going to take it up. And of course they all did. That was the right move for sure. All right. Is there anything else before we just quickly touch on a couple other topics that are unrelated? Anything else in college disc golf that we or the world should know about?
Man, if you're a college student, look into the club that's potentially at your college, and if there isn't one, start one and get a team together. And there's not a whole lot of backing behind it or funding that you really need to have to do it. There's a fee you have to have for the college disc golf to be a member, but for the most part, yeah, if you guys are out there and you want to get something going, make it happen. Just do a little research on the college disc golf website. It's a little slow of a website, I will admit that, but there's a lot of information on there that'll help you get started for sure.
Well, these are college age kids that are savvy enough to jump around, and if I think back to 1997, and if me and Johnny V can get a disc golf club started at UWM when the internet was just getting started, I think the kids these days...
we had a live journal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We had a lot of things going on those trips. That's another story. Yeah. Back when we were in college. All right. Just to go ahead.
No. Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
A couple of quick hitters. Ray, a regular out on the board, just said, I'll say, have you either watched and or if so, what are your thoughts about the DGN on Tour docuseries? You and Kona are featured a lot. I know you were pulled in and had a lot of conversations as well. Have you had a chance to watch any of the docuseries? I think the fourth one dropped today.
No,
it didn't. Did they skip it?
They're skipping. They're waiting till December 5th. They're skipping the holiday season to give the editors just a little bit extra time and a break for the holidays.
Okay, so 3 of them are out because I've watched 3. That means.
I watched a couple of them. Usually, if I get a notification that something like that'll drop, I'll go and watch it. But otherwise, I don't, honestly. Okay. But they've been great. The couple that I did see have been great. Everything that they're doing over there has been pretty phenomenal, actually. It's really good content, and it's what's needed, right? This off-season content, and to keep viewers engaged and to keep that the Disc Golf Network, price tag.
Subscriber base, yep.
Worthy, and doing a great job over there.
And then any big things, or maybe a better question would be, how much do you influence any big major changes and or considerations for, the Dynamic Disc Open? Any tease or is it kind of status quo for 2023's Dynamic Disc Open?
It'll be in June.
Okay.
It's not going to be April or May this year. There will be, I don't know if this is public news. Yeah, I think it is, that the Glassblown Open's coming back. It's been announced, I believe, but that we are bringing the Glassblown Open back in that normal March, April, May, whenever time frame. We're going to bring it back, and then the Dynamic Discs Open is going to be in June, and right now I believe it's going to be all rounds at the Country Club, I believe is how we've decided to do it. Supreme is great. I love how it played. I think majority of the players enjoyed it. The biggest problem is spectating out there, parking out there, and all that, and that's going to be bigger and bigger issues further down the line with these park-style courses, honestly, and thick woods courses as well. I mean, we've already kind of seen some of that, right? Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess off track, but to answer your question, I'm not heavily involved with Dynamic Discs Open decisions or anything like that, but any decisions that are coming down the pipeline that they need some more topic on or whatever, I do sit on the board still at Dynamic Discs, so I'll be a part of those decisions and conversations. But for the most part, Jackie has done a phenomenal job getting the Dynamic Discs Open into this huge event and continuing it as a huge event, and the Glassblown Open as well. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, she really is phenomenal.
Yeah, she is. I agree. I have to quickly then get clarification. Somehow I missed the memo. Put me on your email list, people. What? I want all the internal updates and information sent to me, please. I'll reach out to Doug. So Glassblown Open, will that be the 2,000 person ordeal or whatever, the huge ordeal, and then Dynamic Disc Open? Are we looking just MPO and FPO? Is that the distinction that's being made? I don't know how I don't know this, but I guess that's what I'm.
Correct.
Is that? Oh.
Yep, that's what we're going to be doing, and the Glassblown Open is going to be amateur only.
Okay, so no professional divisions of any kind.
Correct. Well, that's what I'm understanding. I believe that is what the decision was made, and we don't have the courses either to host thousands of people, like thousands of different divisions, et cetera, et cetera. So the last I heard, the decision was amateur A tier and Dynamic Discs Open, DGPT, Elite Series event.
Okay.
Yeah, really leaving out us pro masters, aren't you?
Yeah.
Gosh,
yeah.
Hey, where you at? Come on, bro.
The 3 of us are going to have to run our own flex start.
Let's do it. There will be plenty of flex start for sure. So.
No, I did hear about the GBO a couple weeks ago, like a week or two ago. I'd seen that it was on the schedule I'd seen a post about it. I don't think there was like a big formal announcement by DD, for instance.
Well,
but
there's an exclusive one right here, right now.
I mean,
Smashbox exclusive.
Sure, yes. Let's call
even
it
if it's
that.
been out there.
But yeah, I did see that it was going to be an amateur-only event. But I'm excited.
There is another that we could talk about.
Let's hear it.
If you want.
Yeah.
The Meyer Lake Classic is coming back again next year, and it will be an A tier. So that's going to be big for us. We haven't had an A tier in Alaska since King of the Hill, probably 4 years ago now, at least.
The year I was
Has
there,
it been?
maybe? Did I help kill that?
4 years ago. It's been. They've had a tier, so it's pretty cool to have that one back. Steve-O Story from Texas is obviously going to go up there with me again, and our assistant TD will probably be Derek Savory, and I'll be up there as well. It'll be Sweet. July.
Okay.
I believe in July upcoming year. So.
Okay.
Do you want to do anything?
Yeah. No, that's I was at one of the King of the Hills. I think the second to last King of the Hill was the one that I was at. A great property and a lot of fun, and it just wasn't fully sustainable with their setup. And then I know you guys have gone on and totally different property and have made the phenomenal course that you have. And I know everyone that's been up there has raved about how much they enjoy playing there and the great course that it is. So yeah.
Exciting.
Okay. That's exciting. It sounds like, is there anything else that you can fit into your pie or onto your schedule at this point? Because it doesn't sound like there's much more that you can take on, or is there?
No, fishing.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the weekends. No. As far as like work goes, no. My plate is beyond full. I've probably got 4 or 5 course designs in the queue that I'm currently working on. I think I've done around 10 this year, so it's pretty average, I would say, on how many courses that I've designed per year. Now, if it was just course design I was focusing on, obviously you could do a lot more. But with the ESU taking up some of my time, and course design has been still there. It's still happening. I still absolutely love doing it. It's still a very big passion of mine. So
very cool. And just thinking about the overall year that we saw, not just from Dynamic Disc, but obviously Trilogy. We see West Side continuing to grow, which I know is kind of a shared child with you guys and Latitude. Is there anything that we saw? Well, let's just go right there. The new line of plastic,
Supreme.
Where did that? What was the impetus to that? What was the thought process? And or maybe just tell us if you had no part of that.
No, it's similar to the Royal Grand line. So
okay.
Like the Rive, the Grace, all of those discs are all made in this specialty plastic. It's next edge technology. It doesn't have the flashing on the bottom the way it's manufactured. Mm-hmm. Latitude went at it a different way. They wanted to introduce new molds in this lineup. We wanted to revisit some of our older molds and put a new spin on it, right? New plastic, new durability. But in order to do that with this new manufacturing, you have to have a new mold made. So we had to get new molds made for each one of the discs we're going to come out with this. You're going to see the Escapes already dropped. You're going to see the Judge come out next month, actually. And then the Trespass will come out 2023 along with the Fugitive, a retooled version of the original Fugitive. And then you're going to see other of our discs drop, throughout the years, some of our more staple discs. And then obviously you're probably going to see some Sake Bomb stuff as well. So obviously Sake Bomb is a big part of us now. And that's been such a great relationship. It's been awesome to have Rick around. He's just got so much energy, that guy. And he's just so much fun. He really is.
No wonder you retired as team manager. You're like, I got the big fish. I'm done. Yeah. Like you guys, whoever's next in line.
Yeah, you go to that easy tenured, college job now, or you just kicking back and
back
and driving 11 kids around in a van.
I'm really excited for the Supreme Trespass because I love the one of my older trespasses, and they fly phenomenal. And so I have a handful of the escapes in a box, literally like I think behind this curtain somewhere. Then I'm waiting till it's not a winter hellscape, basically. So once spring comes by.
You guys have snow up there already or not?
We got a little dusting. We got a little dusting in the last week, and then we've had 40 degrees today, tomorrow, probably the next day. I'm running an event this weekend, and I think we're going to have somewhere in the 40s, so not too bad. But then it gets to that kind of like mushy, frozen, not frozen, kind of, not awesome stuff. So, I wish it would either just get really cold and stay cold, or it would somehow stay 60 and kill us all on our warming up planet. One of the two.
One or the other.
Okay, maybe I don't wish that, but
all right, I've got a question. Are you up to date with Andor?
I am.
Okay, I'm not. I'm a few episodes behind. You're loving it? I've heard it's
I
different.
am. I do enjoy it. I like it more the last few episodes than I did the first 3 or 4 episodes. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think I'm through 5 or 6 episodes, and the first 3 of them, it was a little bit. I mean, it was decent, but I'm like, okay, let's get going, and now it's starting to pick up. So I've heard it gets better and better.
It does. And I heard they just started filming the 2nd season, so that's exciting. Yeah.
And speaking of seasons, my question that whatever language you were speaking, I don't care. But my question is for next season, and I know you're no longer in charge, but you still know what's going on. Just a yes or no will work. Should we expect a major shift or change of any of your competitors, either gaining or losing? Just do you expect any major, like really big, Smashbox crazy, unbelievable exclusive news? Should we expect anything like that here with players this contract season?
I think you're gonna hear. Yeah, I'll say yes. I think you're gonna hear it not just from the trilogy, but from a lot of manufacturers. I think there's gonna be a lot of. I don't think there's gonna be as many shakeups as there was last year. Last year was pretty crazy, for us especially. We signed a lot of great players last year, but I don't. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave it with yes.
Yes.
Yes is a good for that. Yes.
All right. I like it. And I'm sure we'll hear what typically is the contract season look like for Dynamic? Is that like till, December 31st kind of thing? Cause I know that's always part of these conversations is when we can start either hearing someone is selling off their jerseys and they're selling off or letting go a few of their backup discs. And then that, a week later, they're making an announcement. And sometimes that's December 5th and sometimes that's January 1st. What does a typical contract look like for Dynamic?
Typically, January 1st is when everything kind of starts to go in effect. Our team managers are right now doing talks, negotiations, all that stuff with contracts that are either up or extension or those kind of things. So that's... I always remember being the team manager. November was always an awful month because it was always those conversations that had to be had, and it was tough. It really was. So it's not easy. It's not easy, right? So November was always a rough one. By mid-December, you typically in-house know what's the shakeup, what's happening, who's signing, who's not, those kind of things.
Well, and it is. There's this interesting yin yang to the idea of just having Paul, the highest paid player, who's talked about what it means to have sponsorships, what it means to decline sponsorship and endorsement deals, and then someone who's on the other side of the books, being yourself, or has been, and hey, we gotta hey, you're not maybe worth that much. And, you didn't maybe, put up the numbers Paul McBeth did or whomever you want to use as a bar. Like, it's just kind of interesting. The two of you back to back even makes me think of how an unfiltered conversation, how enlightening that could be for the world.
Oh, for sure. You're absolutely right. I mean, you're not wrong.
Secret after show.
Yeah. Patreon exclusive one someday. And Paul, you've been friends with Paul and competed against Paul for many years. And I know there's a lot of respect both ways. And I wasn't implying anything but that. But yeah, just two guys on two very different ends of the spectrum, especially as a guy like yourself who, when you were on top of the world in terms of disc golf, it wasn't as lucrative as it is for Mr. McBeth right now.
That is a fact. That is I think I won $5,500 for my world title. From that was the first place prize. I believe it was $5,500. So I think people are winning that for like 10th place now.
Yeah,
at Worlds.
It is truly incredible. I'll say that much. All right, Mac, is there anything else? Totally open floor of any subject of any kind, disc golf or otherwise. Anything else we need to hear from? Get out of you here tonight.
I don't think so. Not at the moment. Not that I can think of. We've had a great season. It's been a great year. Excited for another one. It's weird because my season feels like it's just starting with the college stuff, but and the course design stuff. Obviously, I'll be traveling here in a little bit for some of that kind of thing. But no, everything's great. We're all happy and healthy, and we're ready for 2023. I think we are.
You guys always get yourselves ready and then some. And then I know over at Dynamic, you guys put on an incredible show. Everything good with Denise? And I know she's been working, it seems like day and night for a decade on everything she's been doing. Everything good with her?
Everything's great. She graduates mid-December with her master's degree here in Emporia at Emporia State University. So I kind of kicking myself. I should have put her on the team of the ladies team. I don't know if she could have technically competed next year in March or April for the national championship though, since she would have graduated already. But no, she's great. She's loving the college life right now and getting her master's. And obviously, it's been a hectic time for her getting her thesis accomplished, and she defended it about a month ago now, and everything went great, and we're just counting down the days now. It's pretty exciting.
Love it. All righty, Mac. I know we say it a lot, and we truly mean it. People like yourself, you're welcome anytime. You've got the Magic exclusive SmashBoxx phone. If you've ever got anything that the world should know about that we can help spread around the world, you reach out, and we'd love to hear from you anytime. But we wish you the best of luck in all the continued endeavors. I know your hat continues to change and evolve year after year, as does Dynamic Disc as a company. And disc golf's moving forward in the right direction. And a lot of the stuff that Dynamic Disc has been doing and pushing the envelope and continuing to push our sport forward is a result of the labors and the effort and the vision that the hardworking crew that you guys have, that you've been a part of that team for over a decade. It's been awesome to see, and we love it and support it. Want to see more of it. So thank you so much, pal.
Appreciate it, guys. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too, man. As well. Take care. See ya.
Have a nice night.
And everyone, that is Eric McCabe. And
one of the good ones.
Yeah, one of the best ones for sure. There's been a few events where it's great to, I get to travel around, and I'm so blessed to do what I do, but to then also check in with an EMAC, and, I think to an event earlier this year, him and I, just the two of us went and had dinner somewhere and got to get caught up on everything that's going on in disc golf, and some of it's public, some of it's not, and that doesn't necessarily matter as much. It's just the fact that Eric is within weeks almost, or within a few months of where Johnny V and I are age-wise. We came into the game generally around the same time. He squeaked out a world title. We didn't.
It was close. I mean, I thought.
But I mean, other than that, no. And then, like I said, him hooking up with Rusko, him, having that vision for the original Glassblown Open and, taking on those tournament director roles and then expanding it from there and everything he's done with Dynamic. It's been pretty awesome. And
yeah, one of my favorite memories of EMAC and DD was, and again, this goes into Eric and my shared interests and nerd roots, was Avengers Endgame, the first one. Was
do not spoil this for me.
Back in 2019, was released right at the GBO at the time. Mm-hmm. And all I kept thinking is like, this is the biggest movie in the last 20 years. I don't want to be spoiled. And I have to do, so EMAC and I arranged to get tickets, and him and I and a few other guys, and I think Denise was there. We all went to go see a movie together in the middle of GBO one night. It was a blast. And those are the type of things you get to do at GBO. So I'm really excited that GBO is coming back for the amateurs. And obviously it's going to be a slightly different
vibe and feel. And
yeah, I mean, you're going to get I think you're going to get the classic GBO vibe, and then you've got this new, much more formal DDO vibe. And I have to wonder, I would assume that I don't know if they're going to do 2 block parties or just 1 block party for DDO.
Those are some of the questions my mind was racing to. Is just obviously the Glassblown Open will be able to take on so many more players, but it will have the kind of this more, probably slightly more festive roots, and obviously an amateur and non-professional player base. Amateurs may be a better word. Amateur skilled level player base. You know what I mean. And it won't be quite the same in a lot of ways, in that they're not going to go then when they're done with their round, or they're played their 23rd flex start of the week. They're not going to be able to go and watch the final round of the MPO or FPO feature card that weekend. They'll have to come back for the Dynamic Disc Open to do that. But so some of that will be a little bit different, and hopefully people turn out and have a really good time with it, because we've all learned how much fun Emporia can be and how they roll out the red carpet, the marquees, the signs, the tourism, the hotels. Literally everyone in the city knows that disc golf is going on.
I mean, Emporia as a city has to love this.
Yes.
You're getting the amateurs, which hopefully, you still get 1,000 people or 1,200 or whatever that number is going to be, 1,600, 2,000. Yeah. I don't know. And so you have these people that are really excited to go have this awesome GBO experience, because it is the GBO is an experience. And then you have the DDO, which is the professional, where you bring in a lot of these amateurs to come watch the players. I will say, and I'm sure this maybe is I don't want to say hot take, but I am disappointed that we're not going to see Jones Supreme for DDO, because, and I understand the logistic issues with it, clearly. I liked the course, and I know a lot of people had issues with it and this and that, but I truly liked the Jones Supreme course. Now I understand you can't fit a lot of people there due to the way the course is, the park style, weaving in and out of different areas. Man, it's going to be a little unfortunate, but Emporia Country Club puts on a heck of a show.
Yeah, and we've seen what we do see is a different style there, and I know a lot of people will claim that there's not enough trees, and that they don't like seeing people playing in these incredible winds. This year, it's going to be a little bit different. If we're going to be there in June, we're certainly going to see different temperatures. It's not going to be 38 and windy when you wake up in the morning. I promise you that in June. Now, will it be 108? That I don't know. It could be, but it won't be 38 and windy. So we're going to have different style. We'll see how the course looks, how the course plays during that time. I mean, just think about how it didn't even hardly feel like disc golf for one or more of those rounds last year when we were at the Dynamic Disc Open and the wind was ripping at 50 miles an hour.
But as I said, I loved it.
Sure.
Because it is a type of golf, and I am always a fan of different types of golf. I want to see that East Coast tight wooded lines, hit, your Charlotte style golf. I love that we start out as much as I don't really love the courses, I respect Las Vegas Challenge for what it is. It's a great opening event. Everybody gets to show up. Just, you don't really have to hit lines. You're probably not quite as sharp as you are at the middle of the season. You just get to go and unload. You get to throw far plastic. Everyone likes to see a disc throw and everything in between. So to get to an area where the style of golf changes, it is somewhat survival golf. You're throwing discs and you're hitting a spot in 30-mile-an-hour winds is a challenge. And so I love that personally. I loved that little slice of our tour. And if we don't, it's always going to be windy at some event, but that is a next level wind event. And so for me, I will be a little bit disappointed to not have that. And I understand pros don't necessarily like it. It's a whole different game. It's, putting is sometimes taking out of the equation, as we saw this year. Like, you just don't
exactly.
You don't even attempt 20 footers. You're putting them under the basket for fear they're going to hit and roll 50 feet. So it's just it's different, and I hope we get something like that somewhere in the tour, and that we're not missing out on some of that. But I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people look at that and go, "That's not golf to me. I don't want to watch that." Well, I can understand that they're wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
their
whatever
opinion,
Johnny V says.
Their opinion is wrong, but whatever.
Yeah, well, it will have a different feel and challenge to it for sure this year, and looking forward to whatever that is going to bring. We know at the end of the day, no matter what, Emporia is centrally located to quite a few people throughout the country, and it provides a great venue for on-site spectatorship and viewing, and then also having things like the block party, having things like the ginormous fly mart, and those types of scenarios, I think are no-brainers, that those are going to be all, part of the overall equation. Looking forward to it all. So thank you to EMAC. Thank you to Doug Bjerkes and everyone else that is, continuing to push forward. Obviously, Jeremy Rusko, but then the massive crew and staff that also work so hard over there in Emporia. All right. Do you want to cover any other super quick things before we get to an after show?
No.
I feel like we've covered a lot of the major bases here. There's lots of other stuff we could talk about in the after show. Got some fresh new disc golf guy footage that released not only in the last couple of days, but also something as recently as today. We'll talk about that more in the after show.
Shout out to Drew Gibson for winning the Australian Open, which is I believe it's
the Australian Disc Golf Championships. There's a little bit of a difference.
You're right. Australian Disc Golf Championships. It is an A tier over in Australia. Drew Gibson, Chris Hill, Luke Bain, and Scott Stokely and Patrick Robinson.
Patty,
along with David Perry, take the top 5. And for your Open women, Jennifer Allen kind of ran away with it. She won by about 17 strokes. No surprise. Not a lot of none of our touring FPL players went over there. I think they were her and Drew and her daughter were over there for a lot of fun and the Australian Open. So congratulations to those two.
Yeah, great to see Sarah Lee, though, who I had the chance of meeting in Sweden when I was there for the Skellefteå Open. And then also Cassie Sweeten, who is usually a hands-on favorite to win in Australia. And she met some competition and ran into it full bore there with Sarah and Jennifer Allen. So great to see them all. So many names and faces that I recognize and honored to be familiar with. And I know that Gatekeeper was doing footage, and from a post I understood of Jennifer Allen's, it sounded like Gatekeeper had filmed both MPO and FPO every day. And that sounds
miserable.
That just sounds like very long days. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping and
Where's
trusting.
The footage, bro?
No, I was just going to say,
man.
I am hoping and trusting that then every night they didn't touch the footage, and that they actually got to enjoy Australia and they got to enjoy everyone's company. A few pictures led me to think that. I hope that's what they did, and they'll get the footage out when they get the footage out, because you're not turning around 2 rounds of MPO or a round of MPO and FPO in a single day regardless.
Are they even
so then don't try. That's my answer.
I know.
If you can't do it, then don't even try. and kill yourself. So I know they're on their way back or have touched back down here in the States, and we'll keep up to speed with them. And speaking of big winners, I know I mentioned Jonathan and his little pickleball thing. I think I saw Felix over at Ace Run Productions also pick up a victory in the sport that matters. That's disc golf. So Felix, if that's what I saw, I'm going to give you credit for it. I think I saw that, that you won in something this weekend. You won a tournament. Congratulations. And if you didn't, we don't do retractions. We're gonna just say you won. I know you
just
did.
tell everybody you won, and then point to our podcast.
Be like, yeah,
they told it me.
Jack Wagon said it. Apparently, I won a tournament. No, so yes, awesome. Congratulations to you, Felix, and thank you to the guys over at Ace Run Pro for all the help. Also, I believe we saw Deanne Carey took down the event that Paul McBeth took down also in Florida this weekend. So congrats to her on her solid performance. There's something about the late season, like A tiers, where Deanne's like, yeah, I got that. Like, I feel like Myrtle Beach a year or two ago, or this year, there's just been a number of events where
she's just getting warmed up, baby.
I know. And I just think like, bring more of that to the rest of the year. And I know it's a challenge and it's a grind, but man, she's some of these events. I think she averaged like 980 or 1,000 rated golf this weekend again.
Okay.
Crazy. Smashbox Corrections Department got fired by Steve Dodge.
We never rehired him back. It was very strange.
That's a good point. The Australia New World Champion, the new Australia World Champion. You guys are funny. All right, guys. We're going to call it for the regular show. We've got plenty of other extra things to talk about in the after show. Stick around for that. We've got a giveaway, of course. I didn't even hit up McBeth or McCabe. We had the mix on tonight. They should be giving us stuff. They get all that stuff. But we got some goodies to give away. I think, I may even have a disc from this weekend, this upcoming weekend, the Cold Turkey that I am hosting. Whoops, let's do that. The Cold Turkey. Not a newer innovative stamp. It has become the theme, though. But I like
that
it.
Stamp.
A little mini stamp. We got some Cold Turkey discs that can be given away. So we'll probably have one this week and one next week as well. So looking forward to it. Big shout out to my boy, Spicy Boy, who also celebrated a birthday a couple days ago and went and saw Elton John and hung out at the OTB. I mean, talking about living your best life.
He went to go see Elton John?
Yeah.
I watched the first half of the Elton John concert on Disney Plus.
He was at the concert.
It's concert. And let me tell you, and I like Elton John.
Yeah,
like I'm not like a huge Elton John fan, but you expect all the classic songs, and I mean you can tell he's showing his age. I mean, I imagine being there would have been pretty exciting, but the Disney Plus version didn't necessarily interest me nearly the live Disney Plus that it was on. So.
Either way, happy birthday, Spicy Boy. Thanks
happy
for
birthday, buddy.
All of your help. We're going to call it, folks. This has been SmashBoxx TV's podcast 430.
Woo.
That train just keeps on rolling. We're going to have an after show. We got a giveaway and other random useless stuff that you probably want to talk about. So get your chat board all fired up because we'll be fired up in the after show. For Johnny V, I'm Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Thank you to Eric McCabe. Thank you to Paul McBeth. And we'll see you in a few minutes in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxx TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 430's Aftershow. I gotta cut that one out early. My voice is cracking a little. Terror Bear's getting over some
puberty.
Getting
over some puberty, are you?
Yes, finally. I'm gonna be a man someday, and get over bronchitis. Presumably, it's I think the cough started almost exactly a week ago to the day. It got progressively worse, very unproductive for a couple days. Coughed my way through the weekend to my entire body was just sore, and I got a headache. And then, of course, I go to the doctor yesterday for, it feels like what's now the very tail end of it. So on the mend. I've been sick a lot lately. And
it's funny because I don't think of you traditionally as like a person who got sick.
Yeah,
but lately over the last year or so, I feel like you're kind of a whiny little bitch. Like you're sick a lot.
I know.
And I always hear about it.
It's so weird with with those 50 different flights that I've been on, and stupid 3 or 4 different countries,
super
and
immune.
29 different states or whatever. Yeah, no, it's. I don't know. I can't blame travel. In fact, my sleeping patterns have been a little more than maybe my body's out of whack because it's like you're getting too much sleep. You're actually getting 7 or 8 hours in a night. I don't know what it's been, but I feel like I'm now pretty much on the mend. So yeah, some sunshine, that wouldn't be a bad idea either.
You'll get that this weekend, right? You'll be out there.
Yeah, this weekend hosting the Cold Turkey 17, powered by Innova, and we're looking at temps in the mid to high 40s, and let's just hope the possibility of rain on Saturday afternoon, either it comes in late or it doesn't come in at all. But yeah, looking forward to it. 17th annual event. The one time I did have to miss it, even though I had it scheduled, was when I had been brought to Australia and the event was already scheduled. So Tom McManus had stepped up and took the reins for the weekend, but super excited. I think I have officially 143 people. 71 on Saturday and 72 on Sunday. Plus then we're doing a flex start on Saturday, which has about 20 people signed up on a different course. Really have spot for one more woman is all that remains. Now, if that's going to be an FPO woman, we'll have 3 FPOs and 1 advanced woman. Or if an advanced woman signs up, we'll have 2 FPO and 2 advanced women. I set aside dozens of spots for weeks. They're going to go unfilled, it looks like. So that's what we're down to. But yeah, looking forward to it. And there'll be free beer. So not only will there be lunch that's partially sponsored by our friend Dan Harbeck, the Super Smashy. Pizza lunch will be provided both days to our competitors. And then if you come over to the award ceremony like less than a mile away, the bartender, or the bar owner now, has said, this is an exclusive, I haven't announced this yet. He said the first beer's on him. So seems like a pretty good reason, even if you just come over and get a free beer.
Just one free beer.
You took last. You already got a great player pack. You already got a great lunch. You already got 2 rounds of golf. Get yourself a free beer and then go home and cry because you took last.
I mean, granted, you could probably cry into your beer.
That's true.
I mean, you could get there, have, nurse your beer and cry, complain to all your other competitors who beat you.
Oh, I just so many rollaways.
It just wasn't my day. I woke up this morning and like my shoulder thing, and just I can't. Ugh, God.
Oh, if I would have just made those like 9 birdie putts from 38 feet.
Weren't for the trees, like I'd have been right there.
Yeah. So, yes, looking forward to this weekend and the Cold Turkey 17. We're going to have the afternoon round, the final round on Saturday afternoon will be filmed. So we'll have one round of coverage to that. And thank you to everyone that was a digital birdie or digital par or a Halo disc purchase sponsor of the event, along with Dan Harbeck, who stepped up big time to be a huge lunch sponsor. So looking forward to that.
Good. It'll be a good time. Once again, I'll miss it.
Yes, that's why it'll be a good time. I think we've had 17. This will be 17 of them without you.
Didn't I go to 1?
Yeah, let's hope not.
I think I did go to 1 of the cold turkeys.
You might have. Fun fact, cold turkey, when thinking about it many years ago, and this is when I used to run 10, 15, 20 tournaments in a given year, about half sanctioned, half not, just due to the nature or the style. A lot of doubles tournaments, some glow tournaments.
Did you ever do a cold turkey at Beaver Dam?
I did not. I did the Random Beaver Roundup at Beaver Dam.
Okay.
The very first cold turkey was held at Parkside. I think I did
Parkside.
2 there, then went to Dretska, then maybe Brown Deer, something like that. And then eventually Gray Fox was designed and developed by me, and it's been there ever since. Fun fact, though, PDJ Tour Director at the time shot down my initial name for the cold turkey. He was not having it when I thought of 2 days after Thanksgiving, thought of festivities, eating. He wasn't a fan of sloppy seconds.
Because it wasn't.
That was shot down.
Sloppy seconds.
Can you believe this?
I
protest, rage. You guys should rage right now. Yes.
Which is funny, because there are a few event names out there that are a little questionable.
There's some entendres and,
yes.
and some implied.
So for any of you out there, the term sloppy seconds is open. You know,
well, it's a different time. It may or may not get shot down here 17
that's what
years
I'm saying.
later. Yeah.
It's an open option now because you have the cold turkey.
Yeah.
But sloppy seconds is right there.
So Spock says the Random Beaver Roundup sounds like my 20s. That is a really fun event as well. As Johnny just mentioned, there's a city in the almost dead center.
A little
south center of within Wisconsin. Super
South
short,
Central, what we call it.
Yeah, exactly. Super short, super fun course in Wisconsin, and it's in Beaver Dam. That's the name of the town of a few thousand people, and it's in Beaver Dam, and
it's a pitch and putt course.
Yeah, every hole is super birdieable.
There's 2 holes that really aren't a
gimme,
a give me par 2,
and
not a par 2, but
and
par 3.
in hosting a 3-round doubles event that included tough shot, alternate shot, and then a round of random draw partners that was different. I ultimately came up with the name Random Beaver Roundup, very appropriately named, of course. And then the other name for a sanctioned event that I had there for a few years was the Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
And I did not illegally use the likeness of Wally or the Beav or any of them on my custom stamps, I promise. So
I've always been a fan of your tournament names.
The other day, I just thought of another clever one.
Save it. Don't give it away.
That I used already.
Oh.
I used to teach a 1-credit class at UW Parkside. It's in Kenosha, Wisconsin, just over the border. It's called UW Parkside, University of Wisconsin.
On
Parkside.
This side of the border.
This side of the Wisconsin border. Yes, thank you. And it's called Parkside. And one time, one of the tournament, I think I ran it for 2 years. I called it the Park Side of the Moon instead of the Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, I do remember that as well.
I've had a few clever ones. A few.
I like cold turkey. I think sloppy seconds would have been more fun. But who am I to judge? You know,
it was shot down. So I'll keep working on it. I know I have a few. At one point, I ran an unsanctioned event, and I trophied because I have the trophy somewhere. It's a terrible trophy. Who let the T-Dog out? I think was the tournament I ran out at Dretska. It was a winter-based event.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Now, granted, that was timely. With
you
relation
had just
to
gotten
that
out of jail.
Yes, and that song had just come out, so it was perfect. Who let the T-Dog out? Yeah. All right. We don't need to go through all my stupid ideas.
Oh,
we'll be here all night.
Well, that's
Ray says the Silver Cup final round footage had some next level editing and camera work. Thank you. I was not part of it. There were some really cool shots with a fun vibe. That course is still fun. Is fun still. Very much so. What he's talking about real quick is if you're out on my channel, on the Disc Golf Guy channel, today I released the final round of the Silver Cup. Silver Cup is an event that Jim Van Lanen and crew run. Jim Van Lanen is the father, probably more famously known for being Alyssa Van Lanen's father, and someone that's run tournaments and has been a real promoter and advocate in Wisconsin for the last 3 decades.
For those
and then some
that don't know, Alyssa Van Lanen is Paige's fiance.
Yeah. And so that event is one that Johnny and I had played consecutively for 10 or 15 years until the Pro Tour came in, and then ultimately our streak came to an end because we had to work the event as opposed to play it. And then, so it's been on the Silver Series. It's been an A tier. It's had all these different accomplishments, and then we often see Cale LaVisca. We see Johnny McCabe, Patrick Brown. We've seen a lot of great players come through, whether it's on a Silver Series or not. Dustin Keegan, Nate Perkins, to name a few more from this last year, along with Andrew Fish, Scotty Too Hottie Bertard, so on and so forth.
Was he wearing jeans?
Of course he was. The
I'm
best
just kidding.
jeans player in disc golf. And
yeah, the number 1 jeans player in disc golf, hands down.
So this year, I was out of town. I was at another event. I know that much. And Visual Eclipse, who is Jeff Showers, he had rounded up a couple other people, and they filmed the final round of the event. So round 1 and 2 coverage doesn't exist, shot by shot format. So don't ask. They filmed the final round, and it featured Adrian out of Illinois, Scotty Too Hottie, Andrew Fish, and Matt Bell. And so it's a great card. Go check it out. It's on the channel. Round the front and the back is now all available. It's the final round of it, and as an added bonus, didn't know this would happen. Added bonus: Brian Earhart and Nate Perkins ultimately did the commentary. So
cool.
It's out there. Go watch it.
Mike Janish asks, Terry, do you have a recommendation for a low-budget camera and mic for someone wanting to start vlogging disc golf events / practice? I think you have 2 different types of coverage, because I believe that if you're going to be doing primarily straight vlogging, that's going to be a different camera than if you want to do disc golf coverage, like event coverage. With an event coverage, you're looking at more of a standard camcorder style, like maybe a low-end Canon. I know back in the day it was like an XA10. I don't know if they still have those, or what the current model version of that is. Probably somewhere around $700 maybe for a decent one these days. Obviously, the higher you go, the better it is. If you're going to be doing primarily vlogging and more, not so much event coverage, at that point, I think you look at a decent DSLR or a fixed lens or like a micro four thirds. We right here, there's the Sony. I think it's the VZ10 or something I have, the VZ1. I'm not exactly sure. I forget which model this is that we just got for the studio here to replace our old. If you want an old JVC, we have it available.
That's partly functional.
It's functional. It records. It just the pop-out screen just doesn't work because
partly functional.
It might have been dropped and broken at a wedding I recorded. So anyway. So it depends on what you're looking to do. If you want to do both, if you kind of want to get into event coverage, you might as well go with the standard camcorder style. I feel that's going to give you better results, and you can vlog with that. It's not going to be quite as ideal. You're not going to get like kind of the whole shallow depth of field. It's gonna look a little. It's not going to look quite as what you kind of imagine more of a vlog looking like. But ultimately, they will both work. You can make them both work for both functions, but the fixed lens or the micro four thirds or the DSLR, just trying to do event coverage with that will be frustrating.
Yeah, it's, as Johnny said, it's just a matter, are you trying to follow a disc a long distance and get, a legitimate zoom out of it, or is it going to be closer up stuff? Excuse me, I think of, with Simon walking around with a camera in his face, that's going to be more of your handheld DSLR as opposed to an actual camcorder. So those are the 2 things that I would factor in. Both you could get up and running, whether you call that $500, $600, $700. You can do it for cheaper, but you're looking at a name brand, decent quality in that $500 to $800 range, because you're probably spending anywhere from $100 to $200 on the microphone, and then you're spending anywhere from $300 to $500 on the actual unit. If you're doing it all in a I don't want to say respectable, but the next level manner. That's what you're probably looking at. Real quick, a couple more things with relation to that is there was the second hole of the coverage. I'll spoil this much because it's talked over a little bit. The second hole of the coverage, Scott Bertard, Scotty Too Hottie, who's a good friend, full disclaimer, he's a good friend of ours.
He's in 2 of my fantasy football leagues. We're very close.
He was, when he went to putt his 20-ish footer, I think for par, on the second hole, his foot was touching the back edge of his disc. He didn't mark it with a mini, so he just putted from there. So his foot was touching the back edge of his disc, and it popped up the front edge of the disc slightly. He clearly was stepping on it, but it was a foot fault. And Matt Bell had noticed it and called him. And then, the rest of the group said, I didn't see it. I'm not really sure. And then there was this, of course, presumed awkwardness among everybody. It's the second hole of the final round. And I just want to be clear. I said earlier in the chat that Scotty Too Hottie doesn't give an F about anything. He's not out to disrespect the rules. That was an honest mistake. He's not breaking rules intentionally, or am I saying in any ways he disrespecting the idea of a foot fault. He takes all of the rules very seriously. That happened to be one where he accidentally did that, but it's not from a lack of caring. It was just
did he get penalized for it, or was it not seconded?
No, it was not seconded.
Okay.
And so, that always brings up that whole conversation and so on and so forth. So, but it was just, I think it's kind of crazy because it's the second hole, and only because I edited part of it did I know for sure how it all unfolded, whereas Earhart and Perkins are kind of watching it in real time, and they weren't sure of everything that was said or not and everything else. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there that Scotty Too Hottie, just even though he plays in jeans and was rated over 1,000 for quite some time, he doesn't show up just thinking, hey, I can do whatever I want because I'm the a good Wisconsin pro. He just accidentally did step on his disc, and that's how it all went down. So it was kind of funny. Somebody also said something about a podcast, and I just thought, there's my opportunity to pat myself on my back. I managed, Johnny, I don't even know if you know this.
I probably don't.
I managed a solo Drop Zone podcast again last night on new software, and I, A, didn't need you to help me set it up, and B, it wasn't a dumpster fire.
Did you use OBS?
I did.
Okay, because I did tune in for literally, I think 35 seconds.
Oh, 35 hours. Yeah, minutes.
I saw, I was getting ready for bed. I was scrolling through, and it was like, oh, Terry's going to do one of his drop zones. So I tuned in, and I noticed you had a different kind of graphic on the bottom, and I thought, oh, that's different. I wonder if he's using OBS. And at the time, literally, I think you were thanking everyone at the PLO.
Sure.
And at that point, I'm like, cool. Well, I don't care. I'm going to bed. And I turned it off. I honestly, I bet you it wasn't even 30 seconds of, I was like, okay, that's what's going on. But I'm proud of you, Terry. I'm proud that you were able to use the most prevalent free software known to the internet that millions of streamers use.
People way dumber than me.
And you didn't have to even call me.
I didn't.
Congratulations.
I had shots. I had intro music. I had a graphic.
Look at you.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm coming after your job.
You can have my job.
I am so not. The next level is definitely going to be one of those Stream Deck thingies, which I have, but to be able to program it so I can just hit a couple buttons rather than having to do the buttons on the actual software. But
you already have one of these Stream Decks?
Yeah, I bought one a long time ago.
Right, I was going to say, yeah, they have. You can have one. I've got two of them here, and only one is being used. My large one that has 32 buttons. Literally, I'm using 5 buttons, and the smaller one isn't even plugged in anymore because I don't need it.
Well,
the bigger one I have here for when I when I am behind the keys of the Pro Tour, I switch the profile, and it gives me all the cameras and whatnot. So,
yeah. Well, what does excite me the most is, as I continue to F up and make mistakes, I'll also be able to continue, I think, to elevate a little bit more of those on the road check-ins and offerings that I'm able to provide to you guys as I play around a little bit more with the software. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to a few more of those.
Way to not be an embarrassment.
Not yet. I mean, I'm 1 for 1 with the new one. The other ones were fine, but now I'm 1 for 1 with this. And I almost don't even want to say anything because I know the next one's going to be a big mess. But they do make it easy. So even a not so smart guy like me can get it going. All right. Ray says, okay, thoughts on new manufacturers offering hundreds of sponsorships, in quotes, to 900 level players, contracts that are often very beneficial to the manufacturer. I mean, that those are not going to change. Those are only going to grow.
You're familiar with what the concept or what the preface of this is? Lone Star?
Yeah, I mean the Prodigy Street team, the Discraft Underground team, I mean, like, I know you're referring to Lone Star, but I'm just going to say this is not a new business model. It's not a new strategy, in my opinion. It's maybe I don't know the details yet, but it's maybe slightly reworded and slightly reworked. But let's face it, if you have impassioned players that love your product and you give them just a little bit of free stuff, you make them part of a team. Maybe you give them discount codes. Maybe you give them a little bit of free stuff and then some discounts. You're effectively securing them as customers. And if they pop off, they're in your back pocket, or you're in their back pocket to then be taken to, to graduate to the next level. But I'll use the example of the Underground team as one of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on to never get like really good and never become sponsored on the next level of whatever their Discraft's teams levels are, but that just made you some form of even a discounted but loyal customer of Discraft for the next 10 years, who wins there? Right? Mm-hmm. Prodigy Street team, Innova Ambassador, whatever the case is. Now, every one of those teams are slightly structured differently. I get it. But by and large, man, you get to say you're on a team of a big manufacturer, and you have these perks and benefits that makes you feel really good. And if you turn into something, you're locked into them and they're locked into you. I think it's easy to initially at face value look at it and hate on it a little bit. You're like, oh, what a waste of time or money. And all I think is, well, it's not my time or my money.
Mm-hmm.
And if a player wants to be brand loyal and that's hurting their game, well, that's on them. So whether it's Ray or Johnny here, is there... let me clarify. Aaron says Discraft Underground team is pretty cool though. These guys are getting early disc drops and all kinds of cool stuff. I'm sure they all are. I was on the Innova Ambassador team before being sponsored, and I get all of that. And I'm not dismissing them. I'm just saying they are very similar models from manufacturer to manufacturer. And none of this is really new or groundbreaking or shattering. What?
I don't know all the details, but I know Lone Star recently came out with some sort of team or plan. And I'm going to screw this up.
Well, that's
because we don't check facts here. But I thought I'd heard something along the lines of you have to bag at least 4 Lone Star discs. I think they give you them at some sort of discount, like a small discount, or is it like 40% of your bag? I don't know. But either way, and then you can, qualify for being on their team. Okay. It's an intro level team. It's a
team trilogy.
Yep. It's
very similar.
Exactly. It's more of an ambassadorship. It's more of I don't want to say influencer, but that style of, we're going to get these people accustomed to Lone Star discs. Now, I don't blame them. Let them, hey, if they were probably going to buy this anyway, awesome. That's you like you said, you've made some customers, hopefully long term.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to figure, think about the bag you started with, whatever manufacturer that is, whether it was 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You're probably still throwing a lot of that manufacturer. My bag is like a couple DD discs, a bunch of Innova drivers, and a bunch of Discraft mids.
Such a sellout.
It's,
flaky, wishy-washy, non-committed sellout.
I should commit to one manufacturer, Terry.
Yes.
I mean, granted, they're all X-clones and
Marauders.
Vipers, Marauder. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're throwing yourself a Hawk in there. Got a first-run DX Valkyrie.
Oh, for sure.
Banshee before the Valkyrie.
A Banshee. That was the first, not first, but that was one of those overstable discs.
Yeah, overstable.
Really fast. This year's like, wow, the Banshee. How can anyone throw this?
Yeah, yes. That's in DX, yes. So, those will continue, and the only thing that tickles me, and I was probably that way as well. I know I was to some degree, but what tickles me is sometimes when you go to an event and there's just that really enthusiastic player that has just got onto team blank, and it can grind on me to overhear them within earshot of whether they're just incessantly selling. And I get it. You're that's part of your job to some degree. I just think some people are a little more cool about how they go about some of those things.
I remember some of our younger pros here in Wisconsin when we were coming up, some relatively decent sized names bragging about how much they love their manufacturer. They've never throw anything else. Everything else was trash. Well, guess what? People are throwing different manufacturers these days.
Yeah.
It's
Money
just,
talks.
It's just that's what it is. I mean, I'm happy for anyone that's really excited to throw a specific disc. Good. Be that brand ambassador. If Discmania wants to come and sponsor me, I'll sell out.
Yeah, you will. One thing that I thought was interesting is in recently, and nobody will know who I'm talking about, which is great in this case. Somebody who worked for a major manufacturer split ties with them. They were like an employee of them. They worked for them and had exclusively thrown their brand and was sponsored by them and then worked for them. No longer works for them. I don't know if that was on the employee's behalf or if that was on the employer's behalf, major manufacturer of ours. I saw a post recently with a completely different manufacturer and, I love these discs and, throwing a totally different brand opposite of what he had been throwing for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. And then you just have to wonder, was there a true excitement to go try something else?
I bet.
Or is there just a true spite? Because what if you're a really good player, but you have like this animosity toward the company, and you're like, well, I don't want to continue they don't sponsor me and they don't employ me. So do I have to go find something different? Like there's some of that that I found really funny about the scenario.
And Robert Leonard, a couple years ago, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, he had been sponsored by Discraft for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided that he was going to part ways. I think it was his decision. He just said, you know what? I'm going to free this spot up because of I've got other obligations these days. And now I think he's a PDGA employee, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he was he kept throwing some Discraft discs, but he was so excited to be able to try some new plastic because the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
You might love whatever mid-range you throw. You're watching that other guy throw mid-range and you're like, I wonder how does that feel? Different plastic, slightly different turn, different speed. I'll never know, because I'm tied into this sponsor. Having given that opportunity is almost like a renewed excitement. And we've seen it every offseason when a player switches discs. So it's, that's cool.
Well, I need to be selling out. Who wants to buy me out?
I already
you made their offer
myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have to go.
Well, two things. One, Discmania. If you want to buy me out, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is Discraft. If you want to buy me out, some of those Midnight Lunas, it would look really nice in my bag or in my collection, whatever I want to do with them. But because I'll probably forget on Friday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, Tim, I think you bring up a great point. I think we need to have a high level Infinite player talk a little bit about and of course every contract's still going to be a little bit different, but I'd be curious, Infinite, and I know we had this kind of lengthy discussion with Brody even a few weeks ago, but where Infinite's lines are drawn as to what are you throwing, what are you allowed to throw. Now, Infinite has even more of their own disc lineup, but yet someone like a Drew Gibson who has, obviously is sponsored by Infinite, but is sponsored by EV7 or throws an EV7, and just curious to know. Did I see a post from Drew, I think, after he had won now yet another event internationally. I thought I just saw a post the other day from him saying
he was looking for sponsorship for other things. Shoes, clothing,
entry fees.
Sure, you could be an entry fee sponsor, I suppose.
And I just surprised isn't the right word. It made me more curious to know, what does his current sponsorship entail then? If he's potentially looking for entry fees, because when you get to a certain level in disc golf today, in 2022, 2023, once you get to a decent level, your entry fees are largely paid for. I mean, that's probably one of the first, if not is that the first negotiated thing? It's got to be
close to it.
If you're near that level of player, if you're 1,000 rated, and you're just getting onto Discraft, or you're just getting onto Innova or Dynamic, you're probably not getting your entry fees paid for. Probably. I'm just using this as one example.
Probably an entry sponsorship level, 50, 100 free discs or something along those lines for that.
Yeah,
for
some
that
apparel
level.
and some other things, and maybe to a couple of events, maybe they'll cover your worlds. I'm just, again, speculating here. If you're 1,000 rated. But once you get to that, that 1020, 1030, 1040 range, I feel like one of the given sponsorship lines, what's the word I'm looking for? Just line items, is entry fees paid for or reimbursed.
Now, is that only, do you think that, quote unquote, only happens for our elite events?
No,
you
I don't. I think a lot of them, elite meaning, no, I think probably any entry fee.
Okay.
I don't want to use Paul because we were just at him, and he's, of course, on another level. But
using Paul as the outlier. Paul,
I know.
Paul may be the one that actually does pay for his own because
it's just a tax implication.
There's
running
some
a
weird
tax shelter. I don't know. No. Think of Andrew Marweed.
Yeah. Okay.
Relatively newer to DGA, was previously sponsored by Innova. Goes to DGA, is one of the premier names at DGA.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that they say to him, Andrew, especially if you're going to be kind of your company, what's the word I'm looking for?
Ambassador, you're the face of the company.
What do they call those in football? When you're deemed
captain?
No, you're deemed
quarterback.
No, that's not a position.
Ball boy. Coach.
Somebody's going to know on here what I'm talking about. You're
special teams coordinator.
The offensive, no. Oh my God. There's an official term for it. Football. Like, you're the not profile player. You're the franchise player. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Franchise player. Right? You're
sure.
Designated.
My options
anyway,
were better.
Is he considered the franchise signee? I don't know. Anyway, I would think they say to him, every Elite Series event, every major, we got covered. You want to go play a C tier? We'll cover. Why would you cover a $200 entry and not go cover a $62 entry? At that point, it seems silly. 10 years ago, this is a different conversation. Let me be very clear. But today, in today's market, competitive market, with our top players and the money that's infused in disc golf more than ever, I feel like they just pay for all that.
Probably. They probably do some sort of reimbursement for those. Like, to me, I would think that what I would like to see, and I don't know how realistic this is, elite events and majors and maybe silver events as well. Those are all paid for ahead of time now. Yeah. You literally are paying for a tour season pass that the manufacturer will say, DGA looks at their team and says, all right, we have
12 people playing in it.
12 people playing the tour this year. They reach out to the Pro Tour whenever that opens up and says, here is our whatever
60 grand.
60 grand for the tour this year for our 12 players for these 20 events. And obviously that doesn't include majors because that's probably run through the PDGA, but whatever. I don't know how that works, or if they say, Andrew Marweed, you're in charge of registering yourself. Please keep the receipts, and here's an Expensify account. I want you to take a picture of them.
I'll just say I feel like
I don't know,
this dynamic has changed today to what it was 5 years ago, because I think that's the way it used to be, as opposed to now where we have so many touring cards. You can just go, do the tour pass, and that essentially takes care of a chunk of most of this all at once. And I think it's made it easier.
So does the manufacturer cover that, or the player, you think?
I'm guessing.
Because you and I have known for a dozen years players that were complaining at the beginning of the season, hey, man, I don't have $3,000 to pay for all these events right now. Why can't I just sign up the week before? And then there was... And we're talking for like just a few years, 2 years ago. Anytime you see one of your major players on a wait list, it's because it's their own fault. Because
they didn't have the funds.
Because they didn't have the funds in the beginning of the season. So would it shock me to say, I'm just going to use Paul because he's an extreme example. Paul, come January, Paul's like, oh God, I'm sorry. I don't have $5,000 to cover my events. Ugh. Jeez.
I'm guessing Discraft just confirms, hey, I'm playing the tour. We're writing the check and it's done. I'm guessing, and maybe
I would guess
Pro Tour could let us in on that, or a Discraft rep could let us in on that.
But because you would think maybe there is some communication between the Pro Tour and these are things I don't even know, and I'm pretty close to the tour, and maybe the manufacturers. Does Jeff Spring or someone at the Pro Tour go to Innova and be like, cool, how many players? Who are they? Show me the cash. Or again, do they rely on the players to do it? Do they rely on, does Calvin at the beginning of the year have to shell out $5,000-6,000, whatever that number is? I don't even know.
And then get reimbursed.
And then he turns around to Innova and says, well, here's my receipt. Because like I said, there are still players that might not be able to cover a $5,000 entry fee
outlay.
At the beginning of the season, an outlay.
Which isn't that crazy.
No.
That they can't. I mean, you can't necessarily blame them. Not everybody is, when you're not in the top few spots, you're still probably fighting to get by a little bit harder, which is totally understandable.
I totally get it. I'm just curious as to how that works now, because that was always the dream, was that, the manufacturer is just going to take care of that. Some team manager, some whomever that may be, is going to cover that, and I don't even have to think or worry about that. But my guess is that, I think I've heard that Ari kind of does that for Ricky. So I'm guessing that it's not done by the manufacturer, that it's done by the individual players. Excuse me, and then they're reimbursed.
Well, we'll get to the bottom of that. Remind us. I'll do some reaching out. That's actually a great research question. See, either we get the person on that can answer that question.
You'll hear it on the next drop zone.
I will ask, and we'll see if we can get that answered. Because that's, it's an interesting question for sure.
You're all caught up with On Tour, right?
I am.
All through 3 episodes.
Yes. As of last week, I have watched all 3.
I really enjoyed episode 3. Honestly, I thought that was the best of all of them so far.
Okay.
So I like where.
How many times was I in it? Not enough.
Once maybe in episode 3.
Well, then I think you're right.
That's the answer. Not enough. Clearly. What I don't like, Terry. Swear to God, I thought about this, and I think it's something that would bother you too. You're wearing the same shirt in most of these episodes
because it was all shot at the same time.
I know. Like I would. If I were you, I would have asked to change shirts. And
the problem is you don't know
what they're going to use.
They're not only what they're going to use, but then
what episode they're going to use.
Yeah, because I could be talking about something that's very pertinent because all of my stuff's smart and insightful. I can't even say that with a straight face. That might be at the end of the conversation, but actually got used in an early part of the.
Yeah, it might just be
on.
It just bothers me because every time I see you wear that pink shirt, I'm like, it's the same shirt. And he's going to wear it all season long, and I know he will, and it's going to bother me. Like it
was all shot in a 2-hour window in the same.
Correct, because your portion was all shot together, but it internally, I'm just like,
I know.
I know Terry. He would like every time he watches an episode, he's like, I wish I had a different shirt on for this episode.
Maybe the fix to that is
Ray says it bothers him too.
We'll see more frequent check-ins with more people. The problem is what they did, and a lot, for instance, the parts where I was in there, those were shot at Worlds, and obviously you have everybody who's everybody and then some at Worlds, not just from the media perspective in terms of all the different people, but then also all of the players are for sure there. There's just this larger concerted effort, and you already know it's going to be a week-long affair. So just before Worlds had started is when they brought a ton of the players in and got them, so to speak, caught up. And yeah, I think the more frequent the check-ins, the more likely you're going to have this diversity. That's not an easy task.
Next year, when you do this again, I'm assuming they're going to do it again.
They might not have me.
Yeah, they will. I want you to wear one of those skin-tight green outfits that you see. Like the green screen outfit. And then we'll just green screen different shirts on you.
That's a good idea. I'll sell those as sponsorships too.
Yeah. Great idea. I mean, one of those skin tight. In fact, you can go over your face too if you want. We can change your facial hair. We can do a lot of different things, Terry.
A lot of things I could. If I could change, I would. Anyway, yes, I know exactly what you
use. Paul's Fortnite background he had earlier. That was the background I picked because Paul was in Nick Carl's studio. And Nick uses a green screen for certain things. And so Paul sat in front of the green screen. And the first thing I said, and I out loud, and I told him, it's like, that's a bold move, sitting in front of a green screen for the internet. Because everybody will take a Photoshop and put something behind it.
Yeah.
And so he asked if I could then just come up with a backdrop. And I didn't have one. We've never done a green screen on the show before, I don't believe. Maybe we did one other time messing around. But so I just grabbed a picture of a beach, threw it behind him, and then he was like, well, can we do a nighttime picture of the beach? I was like, sure. So
it's like, nobody will believe I own this beach. I own a different one.
I'm at a different beach. And I mean, so what but yes, that was why he had the backdrop tonight. So.
Yeah. All right.
Did I watch the USA versus Wales match? No. Was
that the one that was on at 4 a.m.? Or was that just a different one that was referenced?
That was on this. That was on this morning.
Okay, yeah.
I was actually, I think it was, mid morning. I believe it was on. I did not watch it. I kind of kept up with the scoring a little bit. I saw that we were up 1-0, and then it was getting late in the game. I think because the timer goes up because it's dumb and there's not a real good stop time, and they make up weird times. But it's soccer, so sure. And then suddenly I saw that we were tied 1-1, and that's how it ended. So, as all good sporting events ends in a tie.
Yeah, that only makes sense.
I really wish Worlds would have ended that way this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul, Aaron, great shooting. It's a tie. Or just, guess what? Doug Bjerkes just gets to randomly, you get to keep playing until Doug just calls it. He's just like, no, I'm going to call it when I want. I'm not going to tell you when. Go out and play. And then he stops it, like in the middle of a throw. You're done. You win. Because that's how I feel soccer is. And I know there's a little bit more formality to it, but it really feels like it. I don't love the thing. But I probably will watch all of 7 minutes of World Cup this year. And that's just when I pass it on a TV. I'll keep track of U.S. I guess they're a pretty good team. I don't know much about them. I'm not a soccer person. I know it's the biggest event in the world, so
get on it.
Yeah, but I'll keep up with it.
Speaking of other big things that will be taking place in the next few days, besides Michael Durkee, we're seeing a lot of just like we had Paul on in the regular show, we're seeing people talk about big drops. Obviously, it's shopping season. I'm not surprised by any of this, but seeing few big drops that are coming out in terms of some new releases, some new lines. I know Chris Dickerson has something coming out in a couple days. I was gonna had on the tip of my tongue. Paul was talking about his wares, and then I saw that Chris Dickerson was going to have camo and orange and other colors, and I was just thinking about cross blending those two with McBeth and what that would look like. Katrina Allen, I think she has an entirely new, maybe even website.
It is a whole new website that opens in the next day or two.
It says live now 6 hours ago. I thought it was tomorrow, but it looks great. Yeah, it looks great. KatrinaAllen.com. And also, happy birthday, her significant other, Austin Hannum. celebrating a birthday. And if you keep up on Kat's socials at all, we see that she's actually her and Austin are over in Paris.
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna say I know they were in Europe. I assume
yes,
I saw the Paris photo. I just don't want to make the assumption that they were there, but
yeah. So
still.
Anyway, KatrinaAllen.com exists, which is new. And here's what I'll say.
I think just FYI, talking about Chris Dickerson, I believe it's just like teamdiscraft.com now that they're releasing like something for the like all the team on Black Friday.
Maybe. I feel like it was on Chris's. It's going to be something specific to Chris and or a tie to Ledgestone, but they're all getting incestuous. I talked to a few people at Ledgestone today, and
I need to talk to Ledgestone.
You guys are
some sponsorship opportunities,
doing some stuff. So, either way,
yeah. If I go to teamdiscraft.com, it says opening soon. I'm fairly certain it drops Black Friday, and that they've got the whole team, because I think I saw Brody dropping some discs on here, and just the whole team Discraft thing.
Okay, go with that. But we know Tyler and DGA doing good work out there. And what I was going to say is we haven't seen, and this is why it's, to me, is worth bringing up. I mean, we've seen PaigePierce.com and Sarah Holcomb, and we've seen a lot of branding for a lot of our FPO players has existed, even self-done by, the likes of Valerie Jenkins years ago, and she still has it. Kat has really not had a large outward-facing retail sponsorship merchandise platform or product. Clearly she's had her name on discs. There's been no doubt about that. She's had her name on discs. Largely it's been Prodigy products, and obviously she's moved over to DGA now more recently. But this is the most outward-facing, boldest. She's got her new logo, and I just want to speak to that fact that we're seeing that
marketing push. I mean, DGA is doing what I'm assuming was part of the agreement, part of the promise of her coming on. They are promoting her. Like, again, not that Prodigy didn't, but they definitely didn't to this extent. Getting her own website, her own line, custom clothing. I don't think there'll be any Coach bags with her name on them, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I know Kat's a fan. Or Dior. I think she has both.
Christian Dior.
Yeah.
A little. I think she's a Louis Vuitton girl.
She might be a Vuitton.
And are you Are any of those brands like
know.
Pepsi, Coke, where like you have one and not the other?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure, like, I bet you there are people that are like, oh no, I'm totally Louis Vuitton, or like, I'm totally Coach. Like, is there like a rivalry, like a 1-2? Maybe, but I don't necessarily know. But I guarantee you, there's like brand loyalty to fashion designers. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
But Kat has never had this kind of push before behind her from her manufacturer sponsor. And I'm so excited. I literally was out there looking like, ooh, is there something I would wear out there? And
I'd like to get you in a little kitty cat.
Just like some
ears and a visor.
See, and I love visors. I used to be a visor guy for a long time. I haven't worn one in a while. But
time to bring it back. Kat will get you into a visor real quick.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to. But when I did go to her website, it wasn't up at the time, so I could not see the apparel.
We see a women's polo, a Katrina Allen T-shirt, and a hoodie, all currently under her apparel.
Not cool,
at the moment.
Kat. Nothing for me in my size.
Wait, accessories.
That's a women's visor, unfortunately.
Under accessories, you find a visor and a hat.
I mean, the hat I could see. The visor, maybe. Again, I'm a visor guy. I like them.
Okay, well, she'll hook you up.
I don't expect her to hook me up, but I could go to the website and buy it.
You don't have the money. All right. Is there anything else that we are missing out here? Never used a Berg in my life. Cough. Are you looking for a Berg? Is that it, Spockheiser?
What are you doing for Thanksgiving? Are you staying in town? I know you've got the cold turkey. Are you heading up north?
It's a very brief day here in the Milwaukee area. We'll getting at the action on Thursday, and then Friday gears right up for the tournament. So Friday, a few last things to get into place for the tournament, and then like we said, Saturday and Sunday, all advanced divisions are Saturday, along with pros on Saturday. All other divisions are on Sunday. However, this is important.
Mm-hmm.
There's a flex start on Saturday. So from 9:15 to 2 o'clock, every division is available to come play in a flex start on the separate 9-hole course that's in the same park.
The Red
Fox course. It's very short. It's very easy. You play through it twice, and that will make up a 1-round 18-hole flex start. And last year, I don't know if it was 30 or 40 people that did that. This year, if the weather's nice, I think we're expecting the same. I already have 18 or 20 signed up for it.
That's great.
So it's crazy that we're at max capacity on the course both days, but then there's a flex start, which is a much lesser obligation and commitment. I mean, whether you couldn't get into the tournament or just the fact that you're like, hey, I'm not ready to go play Gray Fox, which is a significantly tougher course. 2 rounds on the Red Fox course is definitely the way to go about it. So that's all available going on this weekend. Jumping ahead already to next week. After that, I already think about a little Gainesville action, and the Gainesville Open is all in the works, and we'll talk more about that next week.
Ray, I am heading up to Appleton on Thursday morning. I will spend Thanksgiving with my mother's side of the family, as I usually do, and then I'll be driving up to Door County, which is the thumb in Wisconsin, where I'll be spending the weekend. I don't like the way you did that, Terry. I definitely don't like that maneuver.
Got a thumbs up for you.
I'll be spending the rest of the weekend up in Door County with my wife's side of the family. That is usually traditionally what I do.
No sloppy seconds for you.
No sloppy seconds for me. I from everything, downer time. From everything I heard, I don't know how many more Thanksgivings we'll have with my grandmother. So she's 93, maybe 90, about to turn 94. And my sister talked to me a couple weeks ago, and she's like, you might want to get here before Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. But I guess she's doing better now. So, but who knows? They're that age. And it's funny because almost all my grandparents and great-grandparents, live to be like 90, 95, like healthy old people, man. So good for them. So I'll be able to get there. Hopefully, we traditionally do that Thanksgiving and Christmas. We always visit my mom's side of the family, which is where my grandmother is left. So, which she is obviously she's my daughter's great grandmother, but she is already a great grandmother too. Yeah. There are some people on my side of the family that like to procreate and quick,
early and often,
early and often. My cousin,
who's also your
who is about my age, has a daughter who has a daughter, because she had a kid. I'm 44.
If she had a kid at
had a kid at like, she had her kid at like 19, and then her daughter had a kid at like 17 or 18, and yeah,
okay,
fertile people,
early and
fertile people, man.
Reading off the board, best idea for turkeys to package it up and send it to the starving kids in Africa. I don't think it works that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Probably not. Although there's a kind gesture in there somewhere. Gray Fox, easier than silver, yes. As we talk about those areas, I do have great news that is only again relevant to like 2 to 4 hours from here or less. I will be working on another new course. I received some official government papers, but no, some documents to sign that has like legalese and all this lawyer speak. It might be the most official thing I've ever signed off on in terms of a course design, but it is moving forward and it is in that general area, and that very well may be hosting the sloppy second. No, it may be hosting. I can't wait to go back to the park board. You guys said I could have 2 tournaments a year here.
This is the sloppy second.
But I did get that news just a few days ago. I didn't read it all. I just know there was 3 or 4 pages of legalese that basically say that, hey, we're going to move forward with a course design where we can have tournaments and leagues and everything else down in that general area. So making yet another good one. But to answer your question, Tim, Red Fox's 9 short, very easy holes. The front 9 at Gray Fox gets a little tougher. The back 9 gets a little tougher. Then you go down the road a few miles where then Silver Fox is tougher than all of that. So it gets progressively tougher. And I didn't come up with any of those names. Just to throw that out there.
Terry, have you ever had deep fried turkey?
I have not. I
knew it was Thanksgiving because last night on the news they had the warning:
annual fires.
Please don't deep fry the turkey in your living room.
Yeah,
please don't deep fry the turkey in your garage. Shit. And they had the example of the firefighter dropping it in when the fryer is too full and it shoots out flames 20 feet high.
Yep.
So that was the warning on our Fox 6 News last night. So I knew it was Thanksgiving season.
It's time for that. No, I have never had it, but like you said, on, I don't know if it was Instagram or TikTok, I got sucked into about a 2-minute clip of just deep fryer turkey fails. And I just think like, it's great if you want to try it. I know it's all the rage and it has been for a few years, but have you not learned? Like,
how do you not know?
Is if I did try it. I'm not a cook and I've definitely never deep fried a turkey, but by God, there's a million examples of what not to do.
I'd be out in the middle of my driveway. Like towards the end of my driveway, and you slowly lower it in there and.
Yeah, I don't understand the big rage I'd be curious whatsoever.
I'd be curious to taste it. Apparently, because turkey can be a little bit dry.
He says Spock says fried turkey is okay, but it's nothing special. The skin is a different texture. That's it. And if that's all the payoff there is for it, I don't care.
Oh, then if that's all it is, I thought it was like a juicier type of meat because I honestly don't love turkey on Thanksgiving that much. I love turkey the next day on sandwiches. Make yourself up a nice turkey sandwich, reheat it in the microwave, put some cheese on it. Like that's the way I like my turkey.
Yeah, that's the way the Pilgrims would have wanted.
That's the way the Pilgrims loved their microwaves.
Yes, they did.
That's
just put it on preheat or maybe put it in the air fryer.
That's right. That's the way the Pilgrims would have wanted it. No, I think turkey's better the next day. What is for you, Terry? What's the best Thanksgiving?
Well, there's no doubt that shocker. I'll go to dessert land, but Thanksgiving always signified very much lefse, which I know your family is very familiar with.
Well, I'll be having some of that this weekend.
So lefse.
If you message me, remind me. I could probably bring some.
Lefse is what really does Thanksgiving for me, and then because it was the same grandma that did lefse, along with a few other things where we always ate early on for many years. That went hand in hand with cherry cheesecake, and those are the highlights. And I'm not like a huge dessert guy. I'm a huge guy that likes desserts, but
likes desserts a little bit.
Yeah, but cherry cheesecake that my grandma made that I've attempted and successfully done, and then lefse. Those I don't care about turkey. Turkey's fine.
Yeah,
but I'm not into squash or yams or. A lot of that other stuff. I don't care how much brown sugar you put in some of that stuff. None of it.
A lot of people are asking what the heck is lefse. So lefse is made. It's basically like kind of like a very, very thin potato pancake. What you do is you take, and I've made it before by hand. My wife's side of the family, I ate it growing up because you just at some point when you grow up in Wisconsin, especially where we grew up, where there's a lot of Norwegians. You just find it somewhere. Someone has it, whatever. But for many years, my wife's family actually made it by hand. What you do is you skin boiled potatoes, then you take them in through like a ricer. So you squeeze them and mash them up repeatedly. You add a little bit of a little bit of sugar, a little bit of butter, mix it whatever you're going to put in there, and then you flatten them out and you into basically like large, probably about maybe the size of a disc, maybe a little bit bigger depending on how big your pan is. And they've got special it's not a fryer, a lefse cooker. It's almost like a built-in skillet. And you take it, then you flip it, And usually what we do is, you have a whole bunch of them, you butter them up, and that's how you eat it. It's basically a very, very thin potato that you butter up and eat. And we would make a whole bunch of batch of it, and then you freeze it so that you
have it for a year.
Yeah, you more or less eat it. Then you bring out a batch of it at every particular holiday, and you throw it down, and you butter it all up, and you sit and you have your nice little potato pancake.
From a distance, and pancake is a fair word, but from a distance, it looks like a tortilla.
More like a tortilla shell.
It looks
right, like a crepe. Like that type of thickness.
And has the thickness and has a lot of properties of like a flour tortilla. That's what it looks like. If you just saw one on a table, you'd be like, oh, well, there's tortillas here? That's weird. And it's not. It's instead of being a flour tortilla, it's pancake, or it's pancake based. It's potato based. And just has obviously a different, I'll say sweeter overall, sweet but dry.
That's why you butter the hell out of them.
Yeah, man. That's why a lot of people put butter or some kind of sugar on it, light line of butter or sugars.
I do not like
jams.
I've tried. My wife doesn't mind a little bit of jam, but we're pretty traditional butter. I've tried them with cinnamon sugar or just sugar. I don't like it at all, which is funny because I'm a big fan of cinnamon sugar in general on toast, things like that. I do not like it on lefse.
Because of the tools that are required and because of the overall, it's like an all-day project to do this. Lefse is not something like, oh, hey, I'm just going to whip up a batch of lefse. Like this is
hours.
This is one of her my favorite listeners out there, Jenny Cook. All her family often makes it. They've sent me some. I appreciate the heck out of it. It's very family traditional, and as you said, it's a Norwegian item. And even when I went to Norway, though, then I learned back in 2013, there's just different variations of it that they have, and clearly
I believe that.
We've been quite Americanized in what we've done with it, but they have different variations to it. And I remember Steve Dodge, I explained it to him once, and we were in Utah, and he had some like shipped from somebody in Minnesota, no surprise. He had it shipped, and we all had it one night, and he's like, so this is it? This is what you've been talking up? I'm like, it goes hand in hand with memories, Thanksgiving, my family, very Norwegian family as well, that I was adopted into.
Are you though?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'm Norwegian, but adopted into. So yeah, there's your lefse. Lefse is, I believe, the official spelling. Nothing like lutefisk that others are talking about, although that is a very, very much more well-known Norwegian, entree.
Yes.
But lefse is, it's unique, and I don't expect people to know what it is, but damn, I love it.
It's tradition, and it's good. Again, we have, whenever I go up north, we have lefse.
Yeah.
It's brought out of the freezer. Someone sits and, there's a stack of probably like 20 of them, and they butter them up, they roll them up, and it goes next to like a cheese platter. It goes next. It's just a finger food that you can grab and just have yourself some lefse.
Goetta. I don't know what goetta is. Goetta is delicious. I'm not sure what that is. David John is coming in from Thailand in the afternoon. So hello. He said, what happened to Justin Trails? I remember great apples. Johnny nor I have been there in quite a few years. But Justin Trails hosts 2 courses on the west side, more on the west side of Wisconsin. They have 2 courses that are privately owned and host the Justin Trails Open, a big disc golf tournament, and fun courses to play. They still exist. I don't know if anything's happened, so to speak.
Well, I don't know if anything's changed, but they still do yearly events. I know.
I know. I'm just saying, I don't know what he means by what happened to nothing's happened.
It's
They're
still
growing and thriving and still having events. And speaking of which, I think I may even said it last week, but Nigel, who is the backbone to Thailand disc golf and the disc golf experience that you have over there. He's actually in California, and he's been here for a few weeks, and he's still here, which is awesome. I think he's going to be for a few more. He's in California. I think he's visiting places he hasn't been in over 20 years. And so awesome to have Nigel back in the U.S. where he's originally from and out in California. And safe travels to you, Nigel, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving here.
Well, Terry,
I'm ready for this giveaway. Is it Goetta?
Goetta. I looked at it. It looks disgusting. I'm not saying that it is, but it looks disgusting. It says it's a meat and grain sausage or mush of German inspiration that is popular in Metro Cincinnati. It is primarily composed of ground meat, pinhead oats, and spices. Like, just the picture they have.
I'm going to go ahead and not eat any of that.
Exactly. It might be delicious, but it does not look appetizing.
The pictures on
if you just Google
that
it,
Johnny V brought up here, it just looks like
you took the pound of meat you just bought from the grocery store,
ground chuck,
and slapped it onto a plate.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be. But obviously, if that's cooked and there's some grain in there, I'm sure
that could be great.
It probably
I
is
eat more
delicious.
disgusting things, but yeah, that doesn't do it for me.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV if you would like to be eligible for our weekly giveaway. There's a little bit of change I think some of our patrons are going to be notified of coming up this probably very, very shortly. As far as some of the tier levels that are going to be changing, I've been working with Miles Parkhill about some just a little bit of things. So if you are at one of our top level tiers, please be prepared for an email from us, or me particularly, and you're going to be notified of some changes coming up real soon. But Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV for as little as $1 a week.
What? Just $1?
Just $1.
Dollar holla?
That is like the cost of like one Starbucks coffee a year.
Yeah.
You can be eligible for a weekly giveaway. Close to 52 chances. Because we barely miss these things.
Barely.
Get
it?
You can be eligible. Smashbox on Patreon.
There you go. Good save.
I almost didn't mess that up. I was looking at something else and thinking. All right, so Terry, I'm going to bring up, as we always do, random.org.
Yeah, we are.
We have 160, I believe, 459 people eligible. I'm sorry, 158. I was wrong. 158 people eligible for our giveaway, Terry. What number should we draw? How many generates should I push?
We had 2 world champions on tonight.
Ooh.
7 world titles among them. So 7 is the lucky number.
I'm going to do 2. All right, ready. The first number is 70. The second number, which is the one that's going to count, is 96.
96. How are they sorted?
Let me look how I sorted them. I sorted them by email address. What is...
All right, here we go.
All right.
Mike, before you ask, Mike says, I'm $1,000 a month patron. When do I win a giveaway?
A $1,000 a month patron, you will win a giveaway every week.
Yes, you will. We'll have a special one just for you.
All right, so number 96.
And you're guaranteed to win. And then we'll host another giveaway.
That's right. Sterling McPherson.
Sterling McPherson, active patron. Looks like out of the Michigan area.
Yeah, Grand Haven.
I'm just guessing if you scroll. Yeah, that's Michigan. All right.
Congratulations, Sterling. You are going to get one of these wonderful cold turkey discs.
We're going to find one that suits you as best as we can, but we'll get a cold turkey 17 disc out to you. I think when it was all said and done, we had 8 or 10 different molds that were produced, including, just real quick.
Oh.
This is a last ditch plug for you that you might find useful. I was allowed a very limited run of Halo discs as part of the event as a custom stamped Halo disc, and I didn't bring one in as an example, but I do have polecats, sidewinders, and bosses. And if you want one, you need to reach out to me privately instantly because they'll be gone by the weekend. There's no doubt about that. But some people prepaid for them. They're already getting their first dibs, and then whatever is left will be up for regular sale. But if you wanted one, you could reach out to me. And I can make that happen. But you're going to have to do it in like the next 2 days or less. So if you're watching this on Friday, you're probably too late or listening to it. Something like that. Yes. Aaron doesn't like it. That's fine, Aaron.
Doesn't like what?
He says Well, I guess I'm projecting because he says specifically, I quote, Halo plastic is meh.
Oh.
I'm guessing that means he doesn't like it.
He's like, okay, well.
The funny part is I think it's 2 plastics. I mean, if we're going to get technical.
I think it is, probably. I don't think I've ever thrown a Halo disc.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of the Calvin Halo Destroyers, but I don't believe I've ever actually thrown one.
Probably best that way.
Probably.
I think we're going to see some news and updates from the PDGA real quick. One of which, though, stated today, update to 2023 Tour Standards, Pro to AM reclassification requirements. I'm not going to get into it all, but it is available. Let me put it in the chat just for giggles for you guys. There's nothing that blew my hair back or was crazy about it.
Do they say if you haven't cashed in like 10 years that you get to automatically go back down to AM?
I have not read all the details. I just know it was released today. Divisional realignment, revamping, renaming, and realigning. We talked about this 3 weeks ago when they talked about the new naming convention and then adjusting a little bit of the ratings, things of that nature. But they had a more detailed update out there today, and then they approved a whole bunch of new discs in the last couple of days,
of course
as well. So go out and check those out. All right, I don't know if
let's wrap this show up, Terry.
I was trying to see if I could get banned on Twitter first. I don't know.
Oh, it's not that hard. You can just insult Elon Musk, and he might ban you. I have not been banned from Twitter. I'm having a lot of fun on Twitter. I like me some Twitter.
Yeah, I mean all those vulgarities and
I know the
obscenities you can post. I get away.
I can really get crazy.
You were
now.
Just waiting for those.
I can really get crazy. That's me.
Kyle does ask, will AM Worlds have multiple divisions? There'll still probably be 1,000 divisions. I think they're just slightly renaming, or is codifying the right word? Like really solidifying exactly a new naming convention, and then in general trying to step away from the terms intermediate, advanced, recreational. Just those names were, I think they were essentially like misnomers of sorts.
They just added unclear confusion. You like that? I hurt your brain with that one, didn't I? Unclear. I mean, not only is it you're confused, but it's unclear on the confusion.
Is that like a double negative?
Super clear then?
All right. We are going to call it. We have to thank the Mix, Team Mick tonight. Eric McCabe, great insight about college disc golf, also about Emporia State University.
Look for my application.
I was just going to say the incentives, the scholarships, the free. You can go there and get free discs.
Can he redshirt me so I can play for 5 years? I don't
know. So awesome information, and we wish him the best of luck in his endeavors. We wish college disc golf, honestly, the best of luck in how they continue. I think it's going to be obvious that we will be paying more attention to what's going on in the college disc golf scene as it gets more competitive, more serious, more of that farm system breeding ground. Well, some of them are breeding probably the college students, but we're going to definitely pay more attention to that entire ecosystem moving forward, and I think that's very exciting. And EMAC and Dynamic Disc right there in the thick of things, along with so many others that have been working for years on it. So excited about that. And then thank you again to Paul McBeth, our 6-time world champ. Had plenty of good insights as he always does, and as he's trying to stay in shape around beating up on A-tiers in Florida. We wish him the best of luck. You gotta make that McLaren payment somehow. Is it at all discouraging to win a tournament and it not cover your car payment?
That's assuming he has a car payment that he hasn't paid it off, or that he's not paid in full already. But yes,
you beat 51 other professionals.
I mean,
at an event. And this is no disrespect to the event itself, but just knowing like your car payment, you didn't win enough to clear your car.
There are some players playing for gas money Paul McBeth is paying
waiting for it to go down.
Paul McBeth is not paying for car payments with his winnings.
We love disc golf, and we love
Paul
you guys.
McBeth.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. That's been SmashBoxx TV's episode 430. I'm Johnny V. He's Johnny V. I'm Terry Miller. He's Johnny Terry
so
Miller.
Confused.
This we wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
And let me
That's
just
what I
say,
was gonna sit out.
I'm extremely thankful for all of our viewers. Every last one of you. Thank you very much.
Except for the dick bags. We don't have any of those.
We don't have any of those. Our viewers don't do that. They're netizens of the internet and of the finest standing.
We love you. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week when you step inside the SmashBoxx. Wow.
Jesus, Miller.
I know.